Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts. I am hoping that this microphone is working right now. I think it is. I need you guys to help me out. I did a test. A test run.
Mic, 1, 2.
All right.
Test.
I'm pulling up the chat here, making sure you guys are with me. Today is the 27th of November. I feel like I'm not hearing myself. I should be here. Okay, I can hear myself. All right, can y'all hear me? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear
don't get too close.
Resistance Chicks tonight?
Loud and clear, 412 says. All right, so I can take these out. Very good.
We have a great show for you.
You don't need to get close. All right, sounds good still. Now, the question will be, y'all can tell us throughout, if we get to Kraken.
We get Kraken on the Kraken.
On the Kraken. When Leah gets excited like she does, she's dancing like a child.
I'm a horse. I'm waiting for you to go boom. Open the door.
All right. Today's November 27th, 2020. Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. I had to start that a little bit different because of the microphone here, but I'm going to hand it over to Leah because we have so much to bring you in today's show. It's not even funny, but before we do. 2 days ago was Donald Buskey's birthday, and tomorrow is Sagittarian's birthday.
Happy birthday to you both.
Happy birthday to you both. I hope you feel really good about everything that's going on. Keep me posted in the throughout how the sound sounds.
It feels professional.
It does. It feels nice.
It feels like legit, and I wanted to start singing. That other one, the blue snowball, always bothered me because it was a ball, but this is like a legit mic. I feel like I'm in a studio.
We feel like Steve Bannon here. With a good one.
Why is Steve Bannon up? Steve Bannon's up because he has the Colonel on.
Not the General.
The Colonel.
The Colonel.
We're going to have the General, and we're going to have the Colonel. We actually have really good people in our military. There are a few of them.
Men of God.
Good men. There are a few good men.
All right, I'm getting ready to share this on Facebook. I want you guys to do the same.
Handle the truth. They're bringing the truth. I'm so excited. I literally, I'm like doing like I got to pee dance, but I don't have to pee because there's so much that needs to come out. Like, you ever see a horse pee? It's like,
wow, Leah. Oh my gosh,
okay.
With the visuals. There. No.
I like to give people visuals. Like that's how much information we got.
That was too much on the visual. Oh.
Have you been to the zoo? Elephant pee. Okay.
Now hang on. Couldn't we just stick with Sidney Powell's? It was a fire hose. You got to go to the pee.
We're two different people. Okay. So the Colonel has decided that we're going to just fight for liberty until we die. And I'm totally with him. Colonel.
Adriana, he now joins us. So, Colonel, tell us what's transpired since then, and how one of the things people are asking.
Wait, did we even tell them who? In case you haven't been watching, who is this guy?
How are you not? How do you not know who Colonel?
Just in case they don't know.
Dude put together the Pennsylvania hearing. Go watch the Pennsylvania hearing. Dude, drop the mic, okay? He is calling for the state legislators to take back the electoral power so that they can. He basically said, we're going to make sure Trump gets the electors from Pennsylvania.
Now, keep in mind, he was invited to the White House for sketty and meatballs.
Meatball, baby. Yeah, what they did after that hearing was they loaded up all the people who wanted to go. Basically, like, hey, who wants to go meet the president? And we're like, me. And they just loaded them all up on a bus, and they met with President Trump. And I'm sure that was, like, so epic. And they were just like, we got to fight and win the Republic. And it's like, here's what you got to do. You got to fight like a Democrat. But honestly, okay, with tenacity and passion, okay? But what we're going to do it honestly and by the book, by the law, okay?
Since Wednesday is when
look at Raheem's face. He's
smiling. In Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, when are we going to actually have something that takes place in Harrisburg with the legislature? And hey, let these guys who came forward with these receipts be crossed. Let them be crossed by Democrats. But let's get the evidence out there. Is that going to happen, sir?
If I had anything to say about it, yeah, absolutely. So who would have known Wednesday would have been so huge? You know, all it was a hearing to lay the facts out there. You know, let the witnesses come forth. And you know, and Steve,
so
you know,
amazing.
as you said before, the media should have done this. They should have found these witnesses if they cared about truth. You know, it's funny they only have intellectual curiosity when it advances their political agenda. That's not journalism there. That's political hacks right there. And so we laid it out there, and wow, what a compelling case was made. And the people of the nation were just, I think, a bit shocked and taken back that there was that much real evidence and so many witnesses were willing to step forward. And that was only the tip of the iceberg. There's many, many others that have come forward and sworn affidavits. So the so what is what's next. So obviously, joint resolution saying that we are going to probably grab back our constitutional authority in Pennsylvania. And okay, let me lay this out here. So Pennsylvania, 1938, the General Assembly, 1938 decided to hand over picking that delegates to basically the Secretary of State. So whoever that wins the popular vote in the state, assuming the election's fair, that the delegates would naturally go to that person, which makes sense if the election's fair. But if it's not fair, well, I actually hand that power of selecting delegates to the same person who cheated, the same party that cheated. Absolutely not. And so thank God we have the federal constitution that says we're going to exercise our constitutional power here. So we're going to do a resolution between the House and Senate, hopefully today. I spent 2 hours online trying to coordinate this with my colleagues, and there's a lot of good people working this here. So the resolution is going to say we're going to take our power back. We're going to seat the electors. Now, obviously, we're going to need the support of the leadership in the House and Senate. We're getting there on that, but we need to act like. Hold
it. I think we got some breaking news here. You're saying you're going to get a joint resolution to actually go forward, and the Republicans control the House and the Senate, to go forward to basically take the power back from the Secretary of State and put it in the state legislature to put forward the electors?
That is exactly what we're going to do. And so, look, it's going to obviously be a struggle. We're going to hear the palpitations and the outcries of our Governor Wolf and Secretary Bookmeyer, whose resignation should have happened months ago, and she shouldn't have been confirmed. But you know what? We have that power, and we're going to take that power back because there's so much evidence of shenanigans and fraud, and we can't stand aside and just watch this unfold around us here. It's not about disenfranchising anybody. It's making sure that every legal vote counted, and if there is extensive shenanigans out there, it's up to the General Assembly to step in. So we have a fight on our hands, and we're going to fight. We're going to take the fight all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court if we have to.
Come on now.
Look, we saw fighters in you, and we saw fighters, and this is fighting for the Constitution, fighting the Republic, fighting for the American people. But we saw fighters. The question is, and we know that courage is contagious, but has that courage gotten contagious upstairs? Is leadership now prepared to take? You got guys like Toomey, you've got leaders in the Senate, in the House, and all they seem to me to want to do is run for cover.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit dismayed reading, former Governor Tom Ridge's comments there. I mean, it's just he mocked our hearings in Gettysburg. If he was a student of history or cared for the truth, he should have sat and just watched it and made a judgment without just castigating us because we're doing the right thing, unlike him, obviously. But yes, I am seeing a shift. Now, there's 4 leaders, 2 in the House, 2 in the Senate, and I'm seeing a shift among a couple of them. So I think the momentum's on our side. Look, if there's 50 voices in the Senate, 29 Republican or independent caucus with us. All we need, are 16 in the Senate really to influence the leadership. And I think we're pretty darn close to having 16, 17 senators, and I think there's at least half of the House as well on the Republican side moving forward. So yes, they are getting motivated, and sometimes it feels like we're pushing from behind. But doing the right thing, I think eventually catches on.
Yes, it does. That's what I said.
We are burning daylight. Do you see in your resolution other things you're working on today and over the weekend?
So I am so pumped about this, and this is something that has been a lightning rod to me. That I was listening to Glenn Beck a while back, actually. I don't even know if it was before the election or after the election. Gosh, I can't even remember. But Glenn Beck was on Dave Rubin, and it was such a great show, and he was bringing out all these... it was before the election because I was walking by myself with the dogs just by myself. Okay. So it's been a while. And
I'm trying to hashtag. I want to let everybody know I'm not looking at my phone. I'm literally trying to parlay this out. Okay. And you got a hashtag to get people to come. So I'm paying attention. I'm just trying to get y'all here. He was
bringing forth all these historical characters. And I shared it with you guys on the show about one German girl. It was illegal to feed Jews during the Nazi takeover, and there was a 16-year-old girl who was starving to death, and she asked for food. And this woman who Glenn Beck had met after taking his family to Auschwitz, she was in her 80s, and she was telling the story, and she went home. She told her parents, I promised this girl that I would give her food. and her parents just slowly put their spoons down in their bowl, and was silent. And her mom just got up, started cooking. Got a soup pot out, and she said, "Mom, what are you doing?" She said, "Well, this girl's going to come with people. If there's her, there's more." And they ended up saving over
1,000.
I don't know how many. It was a couple hundred. It was hundreds. I don't think it was 1,000. But they ended up saving multitude number of Jewish people. And one of the things that came out of that broadcast for me was that line that C. Bannon just gave, and that is courage is contagious.
Yeah.
So one person may not be able to make it across the finish line, but if you cheer them on enough, you can do this. We can do this.
It goes
You
back
can do
to
this.
William
We can do
Bradford
this.
saying, as one small candle can light 1,000.
So the light here kindled has shone unto the whole land.
Yeah.
And Colonel Mastriano
Mastriano
is a contagious, courageous
Not only
man.
that, but step to the side. Look at how decorated this man is. I mean, there is his
so
resume.
when he goes into battle,
He's so credentialed.
it's real. It's
Yes.
legit. It's real. And when you have somebody leading your charge, 31 years
Right.
of distinguished
Thank you. Yeah.
career, where he is a Christian, he's a man of God, he's a husband, I'm sure he's got kids, I'm sure he's a great father. Like, this is a legit dude that you can follow into battle, and we can follow him into battle. There's been very few doers, a lot of talkers. See, the people we listen to, you're listening to us. Okay, now in our own lives, we're doers. Okay, we've taken on our township, we've taken on our county for our farm, we've taken on neighbors, we've been sued just to have our own farm.
We weren't sued.
Well,
we
were
threatened.
Sorry,
to
we were
be
almost sued. Okay, we have taken on in our own little small world our own battles. You know, we've taken on family for different legal reasons. Okay, I took my dad to court when I was 8 years old because he was abusive. Okay, so I know what it's like to go against the crowd.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want you to know that that's who we are. Okay, and when we put our money where our mouth is, we're not legit. We're not here just talking heads.
Right.
Okay, if he's going to put his reputation on the line, I'm putting my reputation on the line.
That's
We're
good.
putting it all on the line. Right here, we are leaving it all on the field. Okay, and this courage is contagious. And today, we met up with our cousin at Walmart and his pastor. And his pastor had what, Michelle?
A Stop the Steal shirt on.
Dude, and so I went up to him. I was
Pastor.
like, Pastor, nice shirt, buddy. And he's on the phone, and he was talking to me, but he was on the phone. He hung up the phone, and we like had church in the middle of Walmart for like 45 minutes, and we were just talking about everything that's going on. And there are men and women of God who are rising to the occasion right now, and this courage is contagious. So I want you guys to be excited.
Something big is going to happen in Pennsylvania. You watch. It's going to be epic.
So dominoes are falling. Okay, they're the recount in Wisconsin, as Pastor Brian pointed out. Wisconsin's going to fall, most likely just with the recount. Just with the recount.
The margin of error there. I mean, it's so small. It's so small when they overturn the dead people.
Yeah, and the ballot. We're looking at the ballot signatures,
Yeah.
right? So they're looking at the ballot signatures now. Bob Sled is on it in Milwaukee. Now they made the poll challengers sit 6 feet away between plexiglass, but when the Democrat lawyers were meeting together, they were right up on each other's faces. So they didn't really mean it. It's all about the smoke and mirrors, right? But Bob Swindoll is on it in Milwaukee for the recount.
His last name is Swindoll.
Yeah,
That's a good name.
we know we can find the ballots to throw out because we know that Wisconsin election official didn't even pass a law. She went around the law to basically say any ballots that come in, just accept them.
Right.
And they were calling up people to get the ballot envelopes.
But here's the
fixed.
deal, guys. With everything that you're listing here, I need you to understand. I know that you do, but I want to reiterate to make you feel firm in this. All of this is provable. It is being proven. The facts are there. The paper trail is there.
Calm down. Yeah, because here's the thing. The facts are on the ground in Wisconsin that it's Trump. Now, you don't even need what I'm going to bring to you is the Dominion software. We're going to do a deep dive into what I would call the Q-scope. but because there's a lot of stuff that I haven't been able to vet for myself, that I'm relying on other people to vet, and I'm going to bring it to you about what's happening with the Dominion software and Sidney Powell's case.
Here's the reason why, though, you can't vet it. As much as we do dig, and we dig deep, and we work hard for you guys every single day, there are things that are above our pay grade.
Yeah.
That we can't get to. So we have to go to the sources that we
but
trust
I can't
the most.
like not bring it to you
Right,
if it's
exactly.
factual, and if Sidney Powell isn't, if it's in her lawsuit, it's real.
Thank you.
Okay. So let me play you this clip here.
Present themselves daily, which we cannot explain, but where facts are suggested bearing no analogy.
Wait, I'm gonna try
Thomas
this.
Jefferson says 1,000 phenomena present themselves daily, which we cannot explain, but where facts are suggested bearing no analogy with the laws of nature as yet known to us, their verity needs proofs proportion to their difficulty. Right? It's Sagan's standard. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Joe Biden and the national media is making an extraordinary claim. And here's the deal. This is why the president's tweet from just a moment ago is so important. It shifts the onus of the burden of proof. It shifts it onto Biden.
We've been saying this for weeks. Go back and read that tweet again. This is important. This is an inflection point, ladies and gentlemen. You know why? Because Wisconsin's coming in. Okay? Now you shift the narrative. Read that tweet again for the president.
Quote, Biden can only enter the White House as president if he can prove that his ridiculous 80 million votes were not fraudulently
This tweet was
or illegally
epic.
obtained. When you see what happened in Detroit, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee, massive voter fraud, he's got a big unsolvable problem, end quote.
Can you end right? Hang on, pause right there, Leah.
For the people, Thomas Jefferson
Oh,
said.
shoot.
I don't have that tweet up.
I do.
I want to read that, not in, and I love Raheem Kasim. I never know how to say his last name. I love him, but he is not, he reads kind of like Kansas does a little bit run on and kind of even like that. We all know that Donald Trump did not tweet that out in the way that Raheem read it, and I would like to try again. They actually just click on Donald Trump there. This is his page?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to find it.
Here it is. That's it. Go ahead, Leah.
You got
Okay.
it.
Biden can only enter the White House as president if he can prove that his ridiculous 80 million votes were not fraudulently or illegally obtained. When you see what happened in Detroit, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee, massive voter fraud, he's got a big, unsolvable problem.
Yes.
Now, that's not the way Donald Trump would have done it. I don't do a good Donald Trump, frankly. He's very difficult to impersonate. I think I can impersonate a lot of people. All I can do is China. But Raheem was it was a little bit too run on for me. So thank you.
When you see what happened in Detroit, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee, massive voter fraud, he's got a big unsolvable problem, end quote. And
Unsolvable
for
problem.
the people out there who are watching this, and I know we have a lot of audience on the other side who are watching this and going, no, you're making the extraordinary claim. No, the burden of proof is on you. Well, actually, our side is amassing a massive load of evidence and publishing that evidence on a daily basis, whether there are thousands of affidavits, everything else that's coming out, the Wisconsin and the Michigan and the Pennsylvania. You've got a number of websites, everylegalvote.com, Kevin Freeman, the Economic War Room guys. You've got our side clearly attempting and getting into that evidentiary, it's our own form of discovery, behind all of this. But here's the other answer to it. No, it's not us making the extraordinary claims. Actually, it's us making the claims that are based on reality and history. Actually, it's us that are making the claims based on your claims, the Transition Integrity Project's original claims, the book that they rely on so heavily, Ballot Battles, which I think I was the only one who bothered to actually buy and go through and look at how they were going to make and classify their arguments on the run-up to and in the immediate aftermath of the election. We can go through more of Ballot Battles and what it contains in there. And then the other contingent part of that is, does voter fraud happen?
So, the onus is now on Joe Biden, and there is a fantastic article and
that's what, not to interrupt you, that's what Donald Trump's tweet was doing. He was putting the burden of proof now on Joe Biden. Listen, you have been accused of these crimes in court.
Yeah.
Right? Now you have to prove that you did not fraudulently get 80 million votes. Leah Ellen wants to know if the tweet that she tagged us in from Jenna Ellis saying that they have been served for their voting machines in Georgia, did you see it yet?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Leah handles the Twitter mostly. I look at it. I don't do the stuff
I'll
there.
I'll check that out.
But you can find me on Parlor.
I'll check that out. I do get a lot
and
of
Facebook.
I do get your stuff. So this goes along with the article that is being widely shared from the Federalist, and it's titled 5 More Ways Joe Biden Magically Outperformed Election Norms. We're not going to read the whole thing, but I want to read you some of the highlights.
Why can't we read the whole thing?
Absolutely
Usually I don't like it when you
hilarious.
read the whole thing, but this last night for Thanksgiving, after we signed off from our show with you, we're sitting around the table. Patriot Gallery's thing was in between premiering part 1 and part 2, and you read this to us, and I was just like the whole...
Okay. So if you guys missed it when we lost our power, we did ghost stories. This would make a really good ghost story, but if you want to do it right now, we will do Mad Libs. Go ahead, Michelle, read it, and I will chime in when things are important.
In a British accent, like we did before?
However you feel led.
In all the excitement among the objective journalists for Joe Biden's declared victory, reporters are missing how extraordinary the Democrats' performance was in the 2020 election. It's not just the former vice president is on track to become the oldest president in American history. It's what he managed to accomplish.
At the polls this year,
Candidate
Joe Biden
was so effective at animating voters in 2020 that he received a record number of votes.
Let me read the numbers. I'll read the numbers.
I was going to.
Okay, perfect.
More than
15 million more than Barack Obama received in his re-election in 2012.
Amazingly, he managed to secure victory while also losing in almost every bellwether county across the country. No presidential candidate has been capable of such
electoral jiu-jitsu
until now. While Biden underperformed Hillary Clinton's 2016 totals in every urban county in the United States, he outperformed her in the metropolitan areas of
Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania.
So I was looking at the chat. I want to make sure everybody's like on page that we're doing this. You should be. It's awesome. Okay. Even more surprising, the former VP put up a record haul of votes.
Way to go, good chap.
Despite Democrats' general failures in the House, in the local House and state legislative seats across the nation.
We won one more today.
We did?
We flipped another one.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, we did.
A House seat?
Yep.
Come on now. He accomplished all this after receiving a record low share of the primary vote compared to his Republican opponent heading into the general election. Clearly, these are tremendous and unexpected achievements that would normally receive sophisticated analysis from the journalist class, but have somehow gone mostly unmentioned during the celebration at news studios in New York City and Washington, D.C. The massive national political realignment now taking place may be one source of these surprising upsets, yet still, to have pulled so many rabbits out of his hat like this, nobody can deny that Biden is a first-rate campaigner and politician, the likes of which America has never before seen. Let's break down just how unique his political
voodoo
has been in 2020.
80 million votes!
Holy moly, a lot of Americans turned out for a Washington politician who's been in office for nearly 50 years.
50 years!
Consider this. No incumbent president in nearly a century and a half has gained votes in a re-election campaign, and...
A half has gained... Wait.
Still lost.
And
supposed
still
to
lost.
finish that sentence.
And still lost.
And still lost. President Trump gained more than
10 million votes since his 2016 victory.
But Biden's appeal was so substantial that it overcame President Trump's
record support among minority voters.
Biden also shattered Barack Obama's own popular vote totals, really calling into question whether it was not perhaps
Biden who pulled Obama across the finish line in 2008 and 2012. Good shot.
I don't see where you finished that. Oh, okay. Proving how sharp his political instincts are, the former VP managed to gather a record number of votes while consistently trailing President Trump in measures of voter enthusiasm. Biden was so savvy that he motivated voters unenthusiastic about his campaign to vote for him in
record numbers. Now winning despite losing most bellwether counties.
Biden is set to become the first
president in 60 years
to lose the states of Ohio and Florida on his way to the election. For a century, these states have consistently predicted the national outcome, and they have been considered roughly representative of the American melting pot
as a whole.
Despite national polling giving Biden a lead in both states, he lost
Ohio by 8 points and Florida by more than 3.
For Biden to lose these key bellwethers by notable margins and still win the national election is newsworthy. Not since the mafia allegedly
aided JFK in winning Illinois over Richard Nixon in 1960.
As an American president pulled off this neat trick.
What a trick.
Even more unbelievably, Biden is on his way to winning the White House after having lost almost every historic bellwether county across the country.
The Wall Street Journal and the Epoch Times
Independently analyzed the results of
19 counties
around the United States that have nearly perfect presidential voting records over the past
last 40 years.
President Trump won every single bellwether county except
Clallam County in Washington.
whereas the former VP picked up Clallam by about 3 points. President Trump's margin of victory in the other 18 counties
Averaged over 16 points.
in a larger list of
58.
bellwether counties that have correctly picked the president since 2000. Trump won
51 of them,
by over,
an average of 15 points.
while the other 7 went to Biden by around 4 points. Bellwether counties overwhelmingly chose President Trump, but Biden found
A clear path to victory, it seems. Now, Biden trailed Clinton except in a few select cities.
Patrick Basham, a pollster with an accurate track record and the director of the Democracy Institute in D.C., highlighted 2 observations made by fellow colleagues. Polling guru
Richard Barris of Big Data Poll.
and Washington Post election analysis.
Robert Barnes.
Barris noted a statistical oddity from the 2020 election returns.
Biden underperformed Hillary Clinton in every major metro area around the country, save for Milwaukee, Detroit, Atlanta, and Philadelphia.
Barnes added that in those
Big cities and swing states run by Democrats, the vote even exceeded the number of registered voters. Ha ha ha!
in these states that mattered most, so many mail-in ballots poured in for Biden from the cities that he put up record-breaking numbers and overturned state totals that looked like comfortable leads for President Trump. If Democrats succeeded in eliminating the Electoral College, Biden's magic formula for churning out overwhelming vote totals in a handful of cities should make the Democrats
Unbeatable. Now, Biden won despite Democrat losses everywhere else.
Randy DeSoto noted in the Western Journal that
Donald Trump was pretty much the only incumbent president in the United States to lose his re-election, while his own party gained seats in the House of Representatives.
now that's a Biden miracle. In 2020, the Cook Political Report in the New York Times rated
27 House seats.
toss-ups going into the election day. Right now, Republicans appear to have
Won all 27.
Democrats failed to flip a single state House chamber, while Republicans flipped both the House and the Senate in
New Hampshire.
and expanded their dominance of state legislatures across the country. Christina Polizzi, a spokesperson for the Democratic Legislative Campaign Committee, went so far as to state,
It's clear that Trump isn't an anchor for Republican legislative candidates. He's a buoy.
amazingly, Biden beat the guy who lifted all other Republicans to victory.
Now that's historic.
Biden overcame Trump's commanding primary vote. In the past, primary vote totals have been remarkably accurate in predicting general election winners. Political analysis
David Chapman.
highlighted 3 historical facts before this election.
First,
No incumbent who has received 75% of the total primary has lost re-election.
second,
President Trump received 94% of the primary vote, which is the fourth highest of all time.
higher than Dwight Eisenhower, Nixon, Clinton, or Obama.
In fact, Trump is only one of 5 incumbents since 1912 to receive more than 90% of the primary vote.
Third,
Trump set a record for most primary votes received by an incumbent when more than
18 million.
people turned out for him in 2020. The previous record held by Bill Clinton was half that number. For Biden to prevail in these general elections, despite Trump's historical support in the primaries, turns a century's worth of prior election data on its head. Joe Biden achieved the impossible. It's interesting that many more journalists aren't pointing that out.
And what's so amazing about this article is that if Joe Biden really did this, the journalists would be all over it. Can you believe that Joe Biden did this and this and this and this and this, and in these areas he just really blew it out of the water?
Right.
But
If
they're
it was
not
something-
touching it with a 10-foot pole
Because it's-
they don't want you to look there.
Because it proves
That's where the crime was
that's
committed.
exactly. They can't. I would be touting like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. That it was called, what was it called? Election jujitsu.
Yeah.
Very painful.
All right.
People.
Here
All
we
right,
go.
so I'm going to play for you Senator Mastriano on
Mastriano.
Liberty in October.
The past 7 months in Pennsylvania have been a wild ride and very painful for the people. And we've seen what happens when a government has too much power, especially when one man, Governor Tom Wolf, is exercising extreme powers. And it's been a costly endeavor for Pennsylvanians. And so the Pennsylvania dream is being wiped away because of his reckless policies. The best approach is always to leave the power in the hands of the people. Tell us the dangers, tell us the mitigation efforts, and let us decide how to implement that in our own private lives. Instead of spending millions upon millions of dollars on propaganda, information operations, and politicizing masks and all these other issues, let the people decide. The key issue at stake here, of course, are our basic freedoms and our constitutional rights. This is personal for any veteran. You served around the world or in uniform, even domestically. You're willing to lay down your life for the constitutional rights and freedoms that have been handed down to us at great cost and great sacrifice. And I resent that the governor thinks he has the power to suspend these. He does not. We have certain unalienable rights given to us by our Creator. Given to us by our Creator, and not by the governor. And that's the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we've seen rulings that have weighed in our favor, striking down the governor's powers. But that's just the beginning. We need to make sure this never happens again. So the constitutional amendment that we're running to fix us, that takes time, though. It doesn't help us now. But it limits the governor's power in the future to 21 days. The hard thing to deal with here is the lack of accountability and transparency. The right to no office is not responding. As far as accountability and transparency, the General Assembly has very limited powers in this current situation here to inhibit the governor's powers and his edicts. And so this constitutional amendment will help us in the future. For now, we need to persevere and make a choice to choose to walk as free people. Don't wait for the governor to give you his blessing to live freely. You're American, right? This is America still, where the light of liberty right here was lit down in Philadelphia, and where new birth of freedom was fought for on the other side over here in Gettysburg. And of course, 2001, Todd Beamer, Flight 93, let's roll. So let's choose to walk as free people. I think we can handle this. And as far as any busybodies jumping into your lives, telling you how to live your lives, they need to mind their business. We're free men and women in the state here. We need to act like that. And so with that in mind, let's keep pushing forward, fighting for our freedoms politically. I think the thing that's really challenging for us is never before have we had to choose to live as free people, because the freedoms are always there, and we see how precious they are. And so this is our time, this is our generation. We're not storming the beaches of Normandy on June 6, 1944, so our challenge is a bit different, but still just as important. So let's be encouraged, remember who we are and how we got here, and let's live our lives in a way to hand over Pennsylvania better than how we got it now. Thank you guys, and God bless you.
That's awesome. So it looks like, we're working out on our new mic. We're going to have to figure out a way to get the sound from what Leah's playing there to the microphone. I mean, I could try kind of standing this up a little bit, might get it a little bit closer there. We can try that.
All right. Can't bring that one up. Everybody wants me to prescribe. Okay, subscribe. Personal statement from General Flynn to America, faith, family, and friendships. This is General Flynn. He says, by God, Almighty God's grace. So if you guys didn't know this, he got his full pardon.
This is his official statement.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe we should.
You can bring up the thing so I read it.
Go ahead.
By Almighty God's grace, and with the love and courage of my wife Lori, and strength and fortitude of our families, the inspiration of our friends, and every single patriot who circled me with their prayers, wisdom, and kindness, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for the first time in more than 4 years, and because of my fearless attorney, Sidney Powell, the guardian angel of American justice, and thousands of good people with endless energy rallying together. That's you and me and everybody. Together on my behalf, I breathe freedom and liberty today. We are a nation founded by leaders who fought tyranny and oppression to assure that all American citizens be treated fairly and equally across this land. These constitutional and God-given rights should never be denied or disguised behind false prosecution or political persecution out of fear, hate, or an opposing voice. Those who scowl at the very core of our republic and act from vengeance or revenge against one of us threaten the safety and security of all of us.
Right.
Never again should any family or individual be so viciously targeted, maligned, or smeared and threatened. Such has been the experience of my family and I. Not should you or your loved ones, not me nor President Trump, our First Lady, and the Trump children. Stand with me today in renouncing this betrayal of trust that has burdened our nation, and proclaim with one united voice across this land that we will never again allow rightful power of the citizens of this country to be uprooted, undercut, usurped, or held hostage by a coup against our nation, a duly elected president, or any future president of these United States. For over 3 decades, it has been my honor and privilege as a soldier and public servant to fight for the rights of American citizens and citizens around the world. I have fought amongst the bravest men and women on distant battlefields in the midst of fire and fury of war. In this fight for my life and liberties on the battlefield of justice and truth, my faith in God and the love and support of my wife, Lori, have seen me through. Along our journey together, we have been blessed to have the trust and support of millions of Americans across our great country and around the world. These are our digital army, I'm pretty sure he's Q, okay, of patriots who inspired us to keep fighting, or I think his family was Q. Uncovered secrets we would otherwise not have known, and shared with us their thoughts and dreams and wisdom throughout this ordeal. Many months ago, one patriot wrote to me, I only recently learned of you. I've been willfully ignorant of this world and the level of evil in it. Wow. God is moving in our hearts and our lives, and I know my purpose now is to raise my 5 patriots to love God, to fight for truth, and to defend the United States of America, one nation under God. We are so deeply and sincerely appreciative for the force of light brought into our lives to battle on, and we will never forget the trust placed in us and never give up the search for truth. I am forever grateful to my legal team of warriors, a team that came into our lives during the most difficult time. Miss Sidney Powell entered the Flynn family's lives like an angel sent from heaven with the fighting spirit of David, ready to slay Goliath, and she did. Each member of our small legal defense team, assembled by Sidney, fulfilled unique and difficult roles with a warrior spirit, and many of these people are still working right now on election integrity. There's Mr. Jesse Banal. He's fighting, I believe, in Nevada right now. A brilliant leader and a polished legal street fighter possessed on an expert grasp of the law and a common sense approach to discover the truth. Miss Molly McCain, I've been following her. She's been doing this up until this time. Then December 1st, we won't hear from her again. She has to be apolitical. She's going to go work for a judge. She has this already set in stone. I'm really sad. Wow. He was an intense legal scholar and a superb master of the law, a true warrior, and someone of great faith. Molly spent tireless hours researching, reading, and writing, all the while helping her mother fight cancer. Mr. David Warrington's steady hand and advice on navigating the minefields of the Washington, D.C. legal circuit were always on the mark. Lindsay McCassin and Abigail Abby Fry are 2 determined legal professionals who were relentlessly in piecing together a million-piece puzzle. And then he talks his special thank you to his sister, who managed his legal defense fund, and his siblings, and brother Joe, and his sister Claire, and her daughter, his niece, rounded out his whole team. And he wants to thank everybody for this. To all the Americans that we choose, what we choose to do in this life should never be stopped by fear. Instead, we need to embrace the uncertainty and accept the risk that comes with sacrifice, and then work to overcome the sheer magnitude of life's challenges, especially during this crucible of our nation's history. Our survival as a nation is at stake. The Flynns will never stop being fighters that our parents, Charlie and Helen, taught us to be. Through generations of military in our past, and with many of us still serving our nation in one capacity or another, we will rise up to the next step of challenges together and defend our families, our homes, our honor, and our nation. Even today, perhaps more than ever before, America requires tried, true, and tested patriots to ensure the future of our children and grandchildren. And in the end, there is only one who is the judge of our ultimate destiny. God bless America. Michael T. Flynn.
I love it. I love it so much. Oh my gosh. It's so powerful. We've been waiting for, here's the deal. I say if Flynn is happy, then I'm happy. Leah has an alarm going off. Well, while Leah is getting her alarm, I want to bring something up to you guys. Let me go ahead and switch this over. See if I got the right screen up here. I uploaded this to our Masfaith3 channel. And if you didn't get a chance to watch it, you're going to watch it. We're going to watch it together right now. This is so powerful. Let's go, Masfaith3. This is how you find us. All right, there we are live right there. We're going to go to our channel. We're going to go to videos. This is where you guys can find our playlists and stuff. Here we go. You're not ready for this. So
welcome back, General Flynn.
Get fired up!
I mean, there's no enemy that's unbeatable.
where you don't want to be predictable as to what you're going to do. This is warfare. Lock her up. That's right. Lock her up. The advantage in life, in business, and in wartime goes to the competitor that does not flinch and does not broadcast his game plan. I'm here tonight as a determined American who loves our country. And my message to you is very clear. Wake up, America. On this day, we start the beginning of a new American century. A time when we turn our heads forward with persistent and relentless focus on protecting our communities, our families, and our country, with our feet firmly planted on the ground, and by holding individuals accountable for their actions.
Does he have the temperament to be commander-in-chief?
Yeah, no doubt. But I think the American people are much, much smarter than you know. We should clearly define our enemies, face them head on, and then defeat those that seek to threaten our country and our way of life. If we lose freedom here, there is no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
Love it. Someone made this also for General Flynn. I'm going to play this here for you. Listen to the words carefully. Should be loud enough. They changed the words, so listen to the words. This was for fun. You're gonna love this. Halfway across the globe and we're standing on the ground. Screaming across the waves, you can't hear the sound. There's no fair trials, no train. No fair trials. We've colonized America. We won't stand for tyranny. We won't stand for tyranny. And it's too late to apologize. It's too late. I said it's too late to apologize. It's too late. I'm like, please tell me you made a whole song. Okay, so that was about his trials, unfair trials. We stand for liberty. We won't stand for tyranny. They colonized America. These words were so powerful. And what I played that for Michelle and Kansas and Evan earlier. And what does that mean? You went against Donald Trump. You set him up. Hillary Clinton with your stupid PP dossier. Obama. Everybody at the top was in on it, from Brennan at the CIA. Clapper. You had the FBI,
Comey,
and Comey at the FBI. You had the DOJ on it. You
Biden,
had everyone
Obama.
in on setting up Trump. Then they go after General Flynn.
Yep.
And they take down his entire family. Okay. And then they put us through this 3-year thing, and you have all the people, Brennan, Clapper, they know Trump's not a Russian agent. They know Russia has nothing to do with it. Putin, that's why Putin kept laughing, because he's like, what is this? Like, Putin had to be like, what alternate universe do you think that I am leading Trump somewhere? They kept calling him Putin's puppet. And Putin is sitting over there like, if I could make America my puppet, that'd be a great thing. But like, what are you people doing? That's why he kept laughing about it.
I know.
Because it's so absolutely ridiculous
Right.
that Trump would be Putin's puppet. Like, like they speak the same language or something, right? Okay. And Adam Schiff came out, and they knew they were lying. Right? They knew that they were spinning it on purpose. Okay? All right? That was their insurance policy.
They probably
Peter
had
Strzok,
discussions amongst each other like, this is working.
Yeah.
We have the media on our side.
I know.
It's working.
Right. And they're like dropping all these like leaks and everything like that. And we heard that, in our last show we did where It's illegal to have Michael Flynn's telephone conversations leaked, but who did that and all the masking? And then we had this crazy weird thing called an impeachment. And the reason they did it was because they're like, Joe Biden literally is involved in a criminal activity with his son in the Ukraine. Yeah. Okay? So they impeached the president, and then the Kavanaugh series, that was like a little bystanding thing. And then they tried to steal an election. Okay? No. We're like, here's the thing. If you didn't do the 3 years on the Russia, and you didn't do the impeachment,
oh my gosh, we would have just rolled over.
This would have slid
Here's the deal.
in.
They haven't just shot themselves in the foot. They walked into an IED. Like, there's no coming back from this. They had one choice. Right. They could have either just waited it out like we all do in America. You know what? We'll get it back in 4 years. Right? But no. They had to drag this thing out, and they had to do all of these things and show their true colors. And so when it comes to their actual election fraud, we're like, yeah, they could have pulled it off. I truly, truly believe that if they had not done to Donald Trump what they had done the past 4 years, almost 4 years, they could have pulled off this fraud.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, because I think they've done it before. All right, so let's get into some of these facts because they just keep piling up, and we got to go through them like the mail. All right, so Lynn Wood had outed this guy, this Georgia operative, Gabe Sterling. Now there's a video that shows him admitting that he helped set up these drop boxes and promoted far-left activists as absentee ballot counters. So Lynn Wood had a bombshell tweet about an almost $11 million grant awarded to the Georgia Secretary of State, Republican Brad Raffensperger, and his accomplice Gabe Sterling. We wondered, Gateway Pundit says, who Sterling was, and now they have more on that. So just because they have an R by their name does not mean they're good guys. Okay, this is a swamp thing. Okay, what's happening in Georgia is Kemp and Raffensperger are in on this machine thing. They're in on the absentee. They're in on this.
Which is why Sidney Powell has brought suit against at least Kemp, I know.
So in a recent tweet, Lynn Wood zeroed in on an anomaly or something much, much worse relating to the Secretary of State's office and this almost $11 million transaction with the state of Georgia. Wood's bombshell tweet refers to an April 15th, 2020 letter to the U.S. Election Assistance Commission from Secretary of State Raffensperger, who is also Georgia's chief electoral official. He says, hey, Gabe Sterling, you don't have the state of Georgia email? How does your company, Sterling Innovative, make money? Did you or your company receive any of this $10 million grant? Implementation manager? What do you do except go on TV and deny clear voting fraud in Georgia? So Georgia was posed to receive this $11 million grant from the EAC for COVID-related election expenses. This is the EAC is a federal entity which, by the way, certifies U.S. election machines, hardware, and software, and has some clear, shocking conflict of interest of its own going on its advisory board. Raffensperger assured the EAC that funds would be used to prevent, prepare for, and respond to coronavirus domestically or internationally for the 2020 federal election. They sure did, didn't they? The contact person at the end of the letter was Gabe Sterling, who was appointed the COO of the Secretary of State's office by Brad Raffensperger. The brand new SOS shortly after Raffensperger was elected to the position in November 2018. Raffensperger's predecessor was Brian Kemp, who had just been elected Georgia's governor. Sterling, as COO, would be in charge of budget, human resources, and things like that. So this implementation manager, on his Twitter account, Sterling confirms that he is the voting system implementation manager. In the April 15th letter, Sterling lists a private Gmail account address as his email account. The letter states, if you have any questions about this, please request the Gmail. Why wouldn't Raffensperger refer the EAC to his COO, the employee in charge of budgetary issues for the SOS's office? Why instead send them to Sterling as Georgia's statewide voting system implementation manager? Well, it turns out that Sterling also has his own LLC called Sterling Innovative Solutions with the registered agent listed as Robert Gabriel Sterling. And yesterday, is Sterling still the COO of the Georgia Secretary of State's office, or has he left the position? Is he the statewide voting system implementation manager? Or is he acting for both as the COO of the Secretary of State's office and as a private consultant as Georgia's statewide voting implementation manager through his LLC, Sterling Innovative Solutions? Is there unethical double dipping going on here, or is it simply the man has changed titles and positions? Lynn Wood is right on the money. The use of a Gmail account indicates that Gabriel Sterling cannot be a state employee, at least for the purposes of this April 15th letter sealing the deal of an $11 million COVID contract. Okay, so there's more. And then today we were provided with a little-known YouTube account with only 50 or so views, where for some reason Sterling shows up to discuss a number of things regarding the election process. Starting at the 7-minute mark, Sterling shares the following. Sterling talks about how the Secretary of State's office expanded the emergency rule to provide for drop boxes to go through the entire election cycle now. At the 8-minute mark, Sterling talks about working with the ACLU and the Chamber of Commerce and has given more than 6,000 names to counties for the election. What is the radical operative doing as the Georgia statewide voting systems manager under Raffensperger? Sterling admits the Secretary of State expanded the rules for voting and working with the activist group, the ACLU. Let's hope that there's not any more rotten peaches. Okay, so yes, the money is going all over the place. When they start dropping federal dollars, the rats come out. And they hired and gave 6,000 names for the ACLU to be in charge of elections.
The counting of the absentee ballots.
Yeah.
Or the drop boxes.
The drop boxes and other absentee ballot counters. The ACLU.
And we're trying to get specific activists to be
count
the counters.
Yeah.
That's how they pulled it off.
That's how they pulled it off.
That's how they pulled it off.
That's how they pulled it off. And they did it with federal funds.
That's unbelievable.
Crazy, huh?
You're going to use my own money to hire a hitman to kill me.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Oh, I can read Epic Times. I got to sign in. Powell lawsuit, Michigan alleges Dominion computer fraud and illegal conduct by election workers. Let's see. COVID here. John Hopkins study mysteriously disappears after it revealed, in spite of COVID, no more deaths in 2020 than in prior years.
We've been talking about that, and it's not just no more less. We are set to be under the deaths for last year and the year before that.
It's really weird. I mean, it's something that we all need to understand. Back in August, Gateway Pundit reported that according to the CDC, only 6% of all deaths labeled as COVID deaths were solely led by the virus. The remaining deaths have on average at least 2 to 3 comorbidities present. And then over the weekend, a study was published by Johns Hopkins claiming that COVID-19 has relatively no effect on the deaths in the United States. Unfortunately, shortly after being published, the report was deleted from the web. However, the report was retrieved using the Wayback Machine, and it was reported. Genevieve Bryand, Assistant Program Director of the Applied Economics Master's Degree Program at Johns Hopkins University, critically analyzed the impact that COVID-19 had on U.S. deaths. According to her, the impact of COVID-19 on deaths in the United States can be fully understood by comparing it to the number of total deaths in the country. According to the study, in contrast to most people's assumptions, the number of deaths by COVID-19 is not alarming. This is a quote from the Johns Hopkins study. In fact, it has relatively no effect on deaths in the United States. After retrieving the data on the CDC website, Bryant compiled a graph representing percentages of total deaths per age category from early February to early September, which includes this period from before COVID was detected and then after the infection rate soared. Surprisingly, the deaths of older people actually stayed the same before and after COVID. Since COVID-19 mainly affects the elderly, experts expected to see an increase in the percentage of deaths in the older age groups. However, this increase is not seen on the CDC data. In fact, the percentages of deaths among all age groups remain about the same. When Brian looked at the 2020 data during the seasonal period, COVID-19 related deaths exceeded deaths from heart diseases. This was highly unusual since heart disease has always prevailed as the leading cause of deaths. However, when taking a closer look at the death numbers, she noted something strange. As Brian compared the number of deaths per cause during that period in 2020 to 2018, she noticed that instead of the expected drastic increase across all causes, there was a significant increase in deaths due to heart disease. Even more surprising, as seen in the graph below, this sudden decline in deaths is observed for all other causes of deaths. And then we've all been reporting that for a while.
love that what the left is trying to do with this data when they are confronted by it is to say, well, somehow the lockdowns and the masks and making old people that have issues stay at home away from the love and care of their family has made their hearts better. No,
they were dying of heart disease, not of COVID.
Exactly.
It's just heart disease kills older people. That's just what it does.
It
does.
does.
My grandma had it, right? All right. So there's a voter group in Wisconsin, apart from Sidney Powell, apart from the Trump team, that is asking the Wisconsin Supreme Court to take up a case against the Wisconsin Election Commission to prevent certification of the presidential election results in the state. The lawsuit filed Tuesday on behalf of the Wisconsin Voters Alliance argues that there was a systemic effort in Wisconsin using money to evade voting laws in order to cast tens of thousands of illegal ballots. The petitioners continue alleging that the 20,608 vote margin between Trump and Biden includes ineligible and illegal votes. Wisconsin's Voter Alliance argues that the money was sourced back to an organization funded by CEO Mark Zuckerberg. According to the petition for original action, the group believes that Zuckerberg-funded organization Center for Technology and Civic Life gave over $6 million to multiple cities in Wisconsin, including Green Bay, Madison, and Milwaukee, in order to facilitate absentee voting in violation of Wisconsin law. These people are so crazy. Now, remember when Facebook and Twitter and all them said, they all said, we're not going to know on election night. We're not going to allow anyone. It's going to be a couple of weeks while we count the votes, because this is what they were trying to do to swing the election. These people are insanely, wickedly evil, okay? Wisconsin's Voter Alliance is asking the court to take up this case immediately, saying Wisconsin elections officials violated state election laws to nullify a close presidential election. When you add up and you consider the margin here, your election is in doubt. It should not be certified and the results should not be accepted. Klein said the evidence is in the expert affidavits. We're going to see where that goes. And I'm excited to see other patriots standing up. Some more here. More suspicious elections. Absentee data from Detroit. Get this. 36% of absentee ballots returned were from people who were not listed as being sent an absentee ballot.
Meaning they didn't request one, or they just didn't get sent one, or...
You had to request them in Michigan.
Right.
They're 36%.
So meaning, okay, my translation to that, what we've been talking about heretofore, or up until now, has been by people that didn't request them. I think that could be a translation there easily. 36% of ballots that were cast were by people that didn't request or get an absentee ballot.
Of the 566,788 absentee ballots cast in Wayne County, 203,311 ballots show that no application for an absentee ballot was mailed or sent to the voter. That means 36% of absentee votes were never requested. The rest of Michigan had...
How did they get ballots? I want to be
China.
I want to be Valentina Fraudulente for a second.
China.
No, these voters though, like, are they names that are just being made up?
Okay. So you can go to the voter rolls.
Right.
What you do is you go.
What
and
I'm saying
use
is
the names of people.
Exactly. These are not people that actually voted.
No.
And so I mean, like,
they had to have names. They had to have addresses.
Exactly.
So you go to the go to the
Going
voter rolls.
to the voter rolls. A lot of these people, remember, they voted more than who was on the voter rolls.
Well, I believe that these might even be on the voter rolls, so they could check to see whether they were getting them. So
in other counties, they didn't though.
Okay. All right. The rest of Michigan had voters that who never requested a mail-in ballot, but the percentage was just 9%. Okay? So how come Wayne County was 4 times the state average? Now, it is true that if you go to the registrar's office, it would show up, but it wouldn't show up. But do you believe 203,000 people went to the registrar's office to get an absentee ballot? Why would you do that? If you do, I have land in Florida, so to sell you cheap. One Michigan data vendor with regular business in front of the Secretary of State said this isn't necessarily a smoking gun for fraud, but it does suggest that either wide-scale ballot harvesting was being done, or the post office was backdating illegal ballots, or there was widespread absentee fraud, as many people have alleged. The Michigan Bureau of Elections says if that field is blank, it simply means the voter was never sent an absentee application. With the new online absentee application and lots of voters sent an app through the MVIC, so they were never sent an absentee ballot. And that's the Michigan Voter Information Center. So there are a lot of people looking through these things and people sending in ballots that never requested one.
But they aren't the ones sending them in. We know that. We know that. Oh, wait, here. We need to turn our speaker back on here. there's that beautiful woman who I love so much. I pray for her all day long. Last night, we heard that Sidney Powell's team was saying that they were under satanic attack, and they were asking for real, legitimate prayer warriors to be on praying against that attack. I've been doing so ever since then.
So I'm hearing that Catholics are leaving the Pope and going to Pope Max and One American Pope. That's a joke on Newsmax and One American News. Pope Francis accuses lockdown protesters of turning personal freedom into an ideology. Pope Francis urged people and put others before themselves as the world struggles to come out of the coronavirus pandemic. And I'm not even going to go there, but he says some groups have protested, refusing to keep their distance, marching against travel restrictions as if measures that governments must impose for the good of their people constitute some kind of political assault on autonomy or personal freedom. Looking to the common good is much more than the sum of what is good for individuals. That is a communist, that is Karl Marx. That is a literal Karl Marx line that the common good is way more important than what's important for the individual. But in America, we have this thing that's called individual freedom and individual liberty.
What makes this even worse, though, is what they are calling being good for the common good is actually even bad for the common good. Some of us might be willing to give up our individual freedoms for the common good. He says, but it's not actually for the common good. It's for the common bad.
It's all too easy for some to take an idea, in this case, for example, personal freedom, and turn it into an ideology, creating a prism through which they judge everything. Wow. I do, actually. My body, my choice. Mm-hmm. The reason I don't believe in abortion is because that would not be my body. That's somebody else's body. You can't kill another person. That's the whole point. Yep. Okay, no, personal freedom is a legit thing. Thank you. So this was funny. Matt Brainard is the brainiac who has been doing a lot of really good number crunching, and it's actually been used in lawsuits so far. It's pretty awesome.
He was able to use a call center to actually get on the ground, not on the ground, but in the call center on the ground, and make the phone calls to get the data. Did you vote? Did you get this ballot? And it's not just somebody looking at numbers in a computer screen. He raised funds to accomplish this amazing feat that, thank God, he independently did. Our government, our DOJ, our Bill Barr, our FBI should have done this.
He'll be on Tim Pool on the 2nd, but that's like basically a month away.
It feels like it.
Matt Brainard said this: Happy Thanksgiving. I'm particularly thankful for the people who made the VIP, that's what he's calling his system that he did, possible, and gave us the freedom to conduct this investigation as we need to be done. Also, to the guy who left the following comment, thanks, I guess. He says, the way you know this guy is legit is his utter lack of personality. He's a true mathematics nerd, and I thank God for guys like him. The stuff he is doing isn't merely difficult, it's mind-numbing and boring. Good job to him and the rest of the
team. So Matt's like, I think this is a compliment.
I said this the other day. I'm going to read my
Look, this is Leah on Parlor. You can't see it very well because the lighting and the way that all works. But this is Leah's Parlor Resistance Chicks. You should be following her there. She has way more followers than I do. I'm still at 192. She's at almost 1,000.
Follow Michelle or Masfaith3, Michelle Svensson. Mm-hmm. God is separating the wheat from the chaff. Republicans get steamrolled because it's their swamp role to play. No more. These people set up Flynn and my president. The House passed a fake impeachment. They have broken all the rules and the norms, and now they want us to bow to a stolen election. Heck to the no, not on my watch, not on God's watch. Justice must be swift, and it must be now. Ikea Jones says, don't mistake my Christian kindness for weakness. I'm praying for you, but I'm not holding hands and singing kumbaya with Satan or anyone who serves him. If you are okay with killing babies, you don't serve God. That's not up for discussion. Sorry, the facts hurt your feelings. Discernment. I will kick your blank out if you're a Detroit GOP poll challenger threatened with violence after offering to check 35,000 ballot dump in the middle of the night. So we're going to see the Arizona hearing on Monday. Arizona hearing is trending. I actually was like, maybe you should keep that on the down low because I feel like it gives the Democrats a chance to try to pull something. Okay, it just bothers me. I liked when you just sprung the PA thing on them and it was out of nowhere. It's like boom, like a bomb, right? I feel like they're going to be trying to be ready for the one in Arizona, but they won't be ready. They won't be ready. I don't know what's coming out of Arizona. There's a lot of little things coming out of Arizona.
It was funny because, and I hate to interrupt your chain of thought, but when we were talking about them actually doing something in Arizona, Leah and I, we kind of looked at each other and I said, what do they got in Arizona? Where's my marker? I just saw it. Let me have it. I was like, what do they have in Arizona? Like a box of Sharpies they're going to bring to present? Because the PA hearing was so mind-blowing. I know that a Georgia one and a Michigan one and even Wisconsin would also be mind-blowing. I'm genuinely curious.
Oh, I'm excited.
I'm excited. I'm just saying, like, I don't...
So, Pennsylvania started it off as, like, the beginnings of the fireworks. Arizona will be the middle of the fireworks. There's still fireworks. But the grand finale that is going to make Joe Biden concede. What's going to go like this is like the nation's going to go like this.
We've never said that sentence before. In the past 3 weeks, what's going to make Joe Biden concede?
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful sentence.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just coined that.
No, I didn't. I read, so I've been reading people kind of throwing it out there.
I really like that.
We should start that trending.
Joe Biden concede.
So the Michigan, I don't even know, like it probably is going to go to the Supreme Court. I don't know what's going to go to the Supreme Court.
Another country. I just totally talked over you. I was just so excited.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to my one sentence here. What is going to make Joe Biden concede? It's going to be Michigan. Those people in Michigan are like fit to be tied. If you thought that some people in Pennsylvania were upset, what they saw in Michigan, they saw more in Michigan. Okay?
Because
they had witnesses who saw the ballots come in. They saw the stacks going through the thing. Now, Georgia, they need a special session because there's really great witnesses that need to come out of Georgia that are just as explosive.
Yeah.
But Michigan with that TCF center has more explosive witnesses. Like, it was a battle of Armageddon there. And the witnesses coming out, it's unbelievable what they saw. So we've been trying to bring you guys, the witnesses out of Michigan are just unbelievable. I don't know if this clip here is long because I don't want to make you sit through all of it, and it probably is long, but let's hear it. Let's hear a little bit of it. Brandon Cioccolanti.
Let's start at the top, though. Please state your name.
Braden Jack.
Jack.
Can you spell that for me?
Yeah, sure. E-R-A.
Okay, fine. Okay. And you are over the age of 18?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
So I got a note. So what happened was I went to bed at like 4:30 in the morning on election night, and it looked like Trump was up by like 9 or 10 points, and it looked like he had a solid victory, and I thought, okay, well, that was it. And I woke up, he was losing, and I had a message on my phone from one of the political groups that I am subscribed to on Facebook, and it said Trump, not Trump, but they found like 35,000 ballots. We need people to come down here now to help validate this process. And so I'm not part of the GOP. I'm unaffiliated, but because I saw the message from them, that's where I went to get my lanyard and get certified to go in.
Okay. What time did you get there?
It was late morning sometime, probably around 10, 11, something like that. I didn't say 10. But
okay. What time did you leave?
I was escorted out around 8:30, so I was there maybe 10 hours. Maybe 9, 10 hours. I don't know. I wasn't looking.
Okay.
And that there was contention when the people saw the GOP lanyard with several people, not everybody. When I first got in, I was near the front of the room. I can't remember what table, and I'll get to that later. But it went pretty well for a while. There was contention. It was contentious when they saw me come up because they didn't want me looking at the table. But I'm a pretty calm guy, and we worked it out. And my job was to look at the ballots and just make sure that numbers matched each other. On most of the ballots, unless it was a military one, I couldn't even see who was being voted for.
Okay.
Right? All I was doing was trying to see if the names matched and if the numbers matched. A lot of the times you couldn't see the name, it was going so fast, but I could check the numbers and see what I could see. And so I would step in, try and look at the envelope, try and look at the ballot, make sure things matched, and do things like that to try to make sure that the process is going properly.
And were you supposed to be able to see that information?
Yes. Yeah, we were told by our lawyers that we were supposed to see it. However, whenever you go to a new table, it was like nobody had informed the people at the table, and they would always challenge you and try and tell you to stay 6 feet back, stay 6 feet back. And as the day wore on, a couple hours in, I was moved to another table, or I chose to move to another table because there weren't a lot of people in the back, and I had another guy fill mine. And during the afternoon, at some point, there was a ruckus, and I was in the back, and I came up front, and all the doors had been locked. and the windows were being boarded up. People were locked out and they were pounding on the windows. And I was told that somebody had come in and said that there was something about COVID and there were too many people in here, and everybody had to go. And so from that point on, I could tell that something was odd about this, but I went back to my tables, and throughout the day, it was more and more contentious with the people that I would sit at the tables with. I would try and step in, and immediately throughout the day, I'm not going to say, not everybody was like this. It was many, maybe most, but definitely many. Many of the people running the tables, as soon as you would step in, they would wield COVID as a weapon in order to force you to stay away from the table. And they would step in front of you in order to make sure that you couldn't see what was going on. And then they would debate with you whether you were allowed to be there. And then you'd have to go grab a lawyer. And in the meantime, the ballot would have gone through and you would miss what was going on. And if you could find a lawyer, but we didn't have enough of them, then he would come over and explain to them that that's what was supposed to be happening, that it was my right to do that. Now, throughout the day, you would hear the entire room erupt in clapping and laughter and snide remarks, curse words at certain tables. And I wondered why that was, and I asked somebody, and I was like, what's going on? Why is that guy being called out? And it was because he was a GOP staffer or a GOP challenger, and they found a reason to kick him out. What I experienced throughout the day was, it was like they were professional agitators trying to come into your space and get you riled up so that you would give them an excuse to be kicked out. And all that you were trying to do was look at the ballot that was in front of you. But because when you're 6 feet away, you can't read what's on the ballot.
So you were prevented from seeing many
multiple times throughout the day. And I heard many stories from other people that that's what they were experiencing as well. And throughout the day, you would hear these uproars of cheering and laughter and all that. You're in a room that's supposed to be unbiased, and these people at these tables are handling probably the most important thing that happens in this country, and they all seem to be on one side. They all seem to be ready to cheer as soon as a GOP staffer is kicked out of the room. And everyone that I saw got kicked out of the room seemed to be a GOP staffer.
Did you see any Democrats get kicked out?
No.
Okay.
No. In fact, I would see multiple Democrats at a table and nobody would yell at them. Right? The limitation was one conservative, one GOP staffer. But by the end of the night, I mean, there could be multiple Democrats at a table, and in addition to that, there were these independent, quote-unquote, lawyers that were there. And so I would start up casual conversations with them and say, okay, cool, where are you from? There were lawyers and then law students. And they would say, oh, I'm an independent, whatever. And I would say, oh, well, what do you like to do? Or you know, what are you going to law school for? Where do you want to end up? And invariably, they would give me an answer that suggested that they were a far leftist. I remember multiple people telling me, I can't wait to go to Seattle and work on behalf of people in the Chaz Chop in that kind of a vein. I remember talking to another independent saying that she liked the viewpoints that were going on in Brooklyn because they were very progressive and things like that. And they liked the idea that you wouldn't process. What does an independent mean here? I was trying to run between multiple tables, and I was in the back of the room on the right in the 80s section, the 86, 87, 81, around that section. And those tables were very contentious. They would try and hide the ballots. They were frustrated that you were even there. They were kind of insulted that you even questioned what they were doing. They look at your lanyard and roll their eyes, right? Why are you here? And eventually I was able to make a rapport with most of them, but by the end of the night I was at, I believe, table 86 or 87, and at this point in the night, for some reason, they got a stack of ballots that, it was about 35 of them. I counted them quickly on the table. There was about 35 total, and they had a pink sticker on them, and they were challenge ballots of some kind, but they were counting them anyway. And you could see on the computer screen that they were just entering in a birth date of 1/1/1900 for all of these ballots. And so I said,
these are the ones with the pink sticker?
Yeah. And so I told them, what are you doing? What's going on here? I wasn't told that this was okay. And how do you know that this is the person that he says he is? What are you checking it against? And for doing that, I was rewarded with somebody yelling at me about COVID. Don't be close to the table. Get away from us. And then it was the end of the night, and there was something about this table that was special to these people. I don't know. But I was swarmed by about 5 or 6 people that all appeared to be leftist operatives. And I got shouted at and yelled at by multiple people, right? Saying, get out of here, COVID this, COVID that, your mask isn't on right, don't hold your pen that way in front of me, because it's dangerous, all kinds of nonsense. And I said, excuse me, sir, I have the right to be here. I need to be able to see the ballot. That's all I'm trying to do here, right? I'm just trying to do my job here, and I know that you're trying to do yours, but I need to step up here 6 feet, it's just 6 feet every time. And so Andy, who you'll probably see in a minute, he went and got a lawyer for me, thankfully. And the lawyer came eventually as we were debating, and which I shouldn't have to do. And so now I have the table supervisor there, the whoever her supervisor was, and then multiple operatives. And throughout the day, none of these people would ever tell you their name. They would never tell you their affiliation. They would never tell you if they were Republican, Democrat. So you never knew, even though there was supposed to be a Republican or a Democrat at each one of those tables, no one would ever tell you. They would stonewall you. But they would always ask you who you were and force you to show you the lanyard, which I had no problem doing, so I did. But there was a clear one-sided view from all of these people, and we were the enemy to them.
So were the lawyers required to have credentials?
Everybody had some kind of a lanyard on.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, but I don't know what was on it really.
What about these independent guys that you kept running?
They had some kind of lanyard on as well. One of the other things that happened at the same table was that there was a mismatched ballot, and so the number on the envelope did not match the number on the ballot. Now, I'm an unaffiliated guy, and I'm not a GOP member. I only had the lanyard because that's how I got trained, so that's how I went in.
You were trained by the GOP?
Yeah, so I was trained by the GOP to do what I was doing there that day. But I couldn't see whose ballot it was. I couldn't tell if it was a Trump or a Biden ballot anyway. So I was challenging it was an honest challenge because I couldn't even see who that ballot was for, and the numbers didn't match. And so I said, so I let it go through because I wanted to see if they would pass it through and just let it go. The manager of the table wasn't there supervising the people at the table. And so I knew I wasn't supposed to talk to anybody at the table, but I said, hey, can you hold on to that until your manager gets back because it's mismatched, because otherwise it would have gone through. And immediately I got the COVID thing, I got you're trying to kill my people here, and then all of a sudden the manager shows up and there she is ready to yell at me too. And then I'm saying, look, it's just a mismatched ballot. I don't even know if he's doing it on purpose. I'm assuming it's just an accident. I just needed to check this. And in the meantime, 5 or 6 people swarm me. Andrew's there. We get the lawyer there. The guy pushes me a little bit, gets me away from the table, says 6 feet, sir, 6 feet. This is the manager's manager now. And then his manager, or I assume. And they're all getting up, he's trying to strong arm me, shout at me. And so instead of, so he pushes me, and then he says 6 feet, sir, and then he keeps getting closer to me, so I have to keep stepping away, right? So that I don't get 6 feet in front of him. And I say, look, sir, I'm just trying to do my job. And the lawyer comes and he says, he's just trying to do his job. Everything he's saying is right, sir. The lawyer is telling him this. And he starts arguing with the lawyer as though the lawyer doesn't know what he's doing. So these people were intentionally lying to everybody at the tables all day long about this COVID thing and how you can't step up to the table all day. And even when a lawyer was there, they'd still argue with them. So while they were doing that, ballots were going through, and I said, look, you guys debate that. I'm going to step up and look at this last ballot because there's another one coming in and I need to look at the numbers. So I looked up, and that was when he said 6 feet, get away, and he started, he pushed me back, and then it was like he kept coming at me, and he said, something about playing with him, and something to the effect of, I will kick your ass, or I will kick you out of here.
Who said that?
The supervisor. He was like a 5'10" black guy, and I said, are you threatening me? And nobody seemed to hear me say that or him, and so I said it louder. I said, are you threatening me? And he repeated it a couple times. I will kick your ass or I will kick you out of here. And he was like waving down a cop to come over. And then the cop came over, didn't question anything, which it seemed to be the MO for the whole day. And then I peacefully went outside. I peacefully got escorted out. I grabbed my jacket. I told Andrew, hey, here's my number. Here's my paperwork. So I don't have any paperwork to show what I did. I don't have any video or photo evidence because they said they'd kick us out if we did any video.
Do you have your credential?
Yes, I have my credential.
All right, so here's what I want to, as I watch that,
What do
this
we
is
do with
one
that?
testimony.
That was one, but there's many like that. that they were just pushing through the ballots. Remember with the pink slips, and they were pushing them through, and then they put those pink slips. Oh, but those pink ones, they the machine couldn't read it with the pink ones, so we're gonna run them through again
with a false birthday. Okay. Why it's important to show one full testimony, okay, is because he represents multiple people who experience the same things. Now, why is that important? I'm hearing a lot from people, but Michelle, it's not enough to swing an election. It's not enough to swing an election. Well, okay, first of all, we'll address that one in a second. Okay, we'll address whether it's enough to actually right the wrongs here. Okay, it's wrong. We have to talk about it, and it needs to be addressed immediately. That in all of these major counties
that have these
where Joe Biden overperformed more than he did in any other county in the entire United States, and he literally only has quote unquote presumably won. We know he hasn't. Because of the counties that were doing this action that gave him unprecedented votes, okay, then we have to look at it. And yes, it is enough fraud to overturn the election. And that's just one avenue where they cheated. There are multiple other avenues. We could talk about the mainstream media. We could talk about Twitter. We could talk about Facebook. We could talk about those. Those are what they accused Russia of doing, and they did it on a giant scale. Google. We could talk about the signatures not matching. We could talk about the early mail-in voting. We could talk about the backdating of the ballots. And then we can talk about Dominion.
Yeah, exactly. Dominion is the icing on the cake. Okay, but we have cake.
Yeah.
Okay, so Donald Trump's presidency is the
so
cake.
cakey.
We have the cake. Dominion is the icing to show you how much he won by. Okay? These things are to show you that he did win.
And that they are that organized and vicious to pull it off.
Obama Organizing for Action got in play in 2016. They have been organizing these people, these Black Lives Matter groups. How do you think they have the Black Lives Matter people on the streets? And yes, if they're willing to burn down buildings, they're willing to burn down an election system.
You got that right.
Mr. Colbeck, Patrick Colbeck, an election challenger in Wayne County, Michigan. He signed a sworn affidavit charging Dominion voting machines were connected to the internet. Mr. Colbeck is also a former Michigan State Senator, and it's great to see you again.
I didn't play this for you guys, did I?
The Attorney General, it sounds to me like straightforwardly trying to intimidate you.
Yeah, she should talk to my old Senate Majority Leader. I don't intimidate very well. Really, nobody's actually gone off and refuted the factual claims in my affidavit. And they said it's not credible. Well, I'll tell you, they've already admitted to the fact that they're connected to the internet. Chris Thomas, who is a former state elections director in Michigan, already admitted to the fact that these systems work. Some of the computers were connected to the internet. And I've already documented the fact that all these computers were connected to the computers that he said was already connected to the internet. So I'd love for them to get under some cross-examination and explain themselves.
Well, that hasn't happened, but what has happened today in Pennsylvania, a prominent expert on voting machines.
I want you guys, I know a lot of people have turned off Fox News, and that's fine. Okay?
But Lou Dobbs.
But you can make a statement. You can make a statement to Fox News, actually, by watching Fox News, and this is how. Watch Lou Dobbs. Yep. He is a patriot. He doesn't deserve to be boycotted. He is in it to win it. He is bucking the system.
Out of any one of the people that you formerly liked and enjoyed,
I have a handful.
Okay, go ahead.
Lou Dobbs.
I'm putting him at the top.
So I want you to watch. If you guys want to show Fox News, it's not enough just to turn them off. You can send them a message. Hey, we're going to watch those people who are covering this stuff. And it's Lou Dobbs, Mark Levin. Tomorrow, watch Judge Janine. And watch Maria Bartiromo. Those guys are on it. They're in it to win it. And, I'm not watching Tucker. I feel until he makes a big change. And I'll see that on Twitter. Somebody will say, ooh, Tucker's on it. And he gets it now. But him boycotting him because I want...
We haven't really been... We haven't been watching Sean or Laura either.
I'm not watching Laura at all. Sean, yes, you can watch Sean. Sean is still fighting. Yeah. He's having all the good people on. He's not giving up. So Sean, Lou, Levin, Maria, Janine.
Very good.
Machines and PSYOPs and cyber warfare himself, Colonel Phil Waldron, informed the Senate, the Pennsylvania Senate, that there is no transparency, as the previous witness in today's hearing had noted, as to how the voter information is processed. He said categorically, these systems are not what you've been told. They are connected to the internet and servers outside the United States. They're connected from top to the bottom in the middle. End of statement. He went on. That is the statement on connections and supporting your claims.
Yeah, that's exactly why it's so concerning that I observed that these computers were connected to the internet. I mean, once you've done that, I mean, the key word that we're going to be hearing over the next few weeks when all these legal battles go through is going to be the term chain of custody. And why the internet connection is so important is because tabulators, the actual computers that are counting the votes, were connected to the internet. And so anybody who has ever heard of a hackers conference where they can break into a computer within seconds to go off and manipulate the data on that computer, that's a concern. You've broken the chain of custody and you've broken the integrity of the entire election when you allow people into the same computers that are counting all the votes.
Well, what has been the reaction in Michigan? The Republicans have seemed to me to be very quiet.
They're holding.
What is going on?
They're holding a hearing, so I don't want you to get you.
Wait, pause. Don't close it up. I wanted to show him something. Can you rewind it to where it's just him? Keep going back. Keep going back. There. I want you to notice something right there. He's got a book back there that says "Faithful Servant," and it's got a cross on it.
I see it. I didn't notice that.
Guys,
good eye.
These men
and
women, but especially the men that are coming out, we're seeing these prominent men that are credentialed, that have a history of proving that they are patriots for our country, are Christian men.
Behind his head.
Right.
No, look at his poster behind his head.
Oh my gosh. We could do a picture of how do we analyze. Do you all know what this is? Raise your hand if you watched our Thanksgiving show last night. Raise your hand if you saw, we didn't refer to it as the Matrix of Liberty, but that's what she's called. It's our forefathers monument in Plymouth, Massachusetts. That right there is a giant poster of the Matrix of Liberty and the forefathers monument. Underneath of that, where it has law, morality,
this is too
education and faith. Guys, it's all. I need you, please, to understand something. You guys were commenting about my shirt. I got this at Goodwill. I don't follow sports. I just really liked it. It was in the men's section. God is moving in a massive way. He is showing us that we are all, the words that I kept getting from the Lord in the prophecies for 2020 that he has given me were those that had their ears tuned to God's dial, and they will hear what he is speaking. And everybody that has their dials tuned, okay, to the Holy Spirit, we're hearing it. We're hearing it.
Gonzalez, you need to understand something. That PA hearing threw everything out of whack for the Democrats.
Someone in the chat's worried that the mail-in ballot numbers for Rudy and stuff like that are off. And
I noticed, yeah.
Guys, it doesn't matter. First of all, your first line is, I'm not going to believe anything that anybody says.
Right.
Okay? Until you prove, because here's the deal. They pulled off, or have attempted to pull off, the greatest fraud in the history of America. This is bigger than JFK. This is bigger than Watergate. It's big. Okay? I'm not going to believe anything that is said until it is proven. Right? And I have seen evidence, like the witness that we just listened to. That's hard evidence.
Right.
So don't believe any of those numbers. Don't buy into any of that garbage that anybody's telling you until we come out with hard fact evidence to prove otherwise.
Yeah.
It's so vital, guys. You have to shut out everything.
All right.
Everything.
So here's our commercial break. Now see if you can catch it.
And if we do, and I'm sure we can proclaim the psalmist with the psalmist who wrote these following words.
Oh my gosh.
The Lord is my strength and my shield.
One more time.
And if we do, and I'm sure we can proclaim the psalmist with the psalmist who wrote these following words. The Lord is my strength and my shield.
The psalmist. Harok, the Lord is my strength and my shield. He didn't just say it one time. He said it 2 times. This is Mr. Teleprompter. It's not going so well for him right now, or the psalmist.
Now remember, though, he is a devout Catholic and a very religious man with a strong relationship with Jesus Christ. So, of course, if he chooses to call the Psalms palms, that is his prerogative.
All right. Here's some overview of the election fraud allegations from Sidney's drop.
104 pages.
Okay, so some visuals here. Illegal procedures. No chain of custody for machines and large bundles of ballots. Poll watchers removed and threatened unprecedented voting pauses. Insecure voting machines. Design permits operators to easily move votes between candidates. Audit logs incomplete and insecure. Linked to foreign governments. Illegal ballots. No signature verification. No barcoding or ballot verification. Statistically implausible dumps of votes late in the night. Processing 95% plus for Biden. Illegal procedures, broken chain of custody for voting machines and bundles of ballots. We typically receive the machines, the ballot marking devices on the Friday before the election, with a chain of custody letter to be signed on Sunday, indicating that we had received the machines and that the counts on the machines when received and that the machines have been sealed. In this case, we were asked to sign the chain of custody letter on Sunday, even though machines were not delivered until 2 a.m. in the morning on Election Day. This is unacceptable, and the voting machine should not be out of custody prior to Election Day, and they were not sealed. And they were told to sign something that said they got them on Sunday and that they were sealed.
Oh my gosh. But did they?
No, they got them on Election Day unsealed.
No, I mean, did they sign it?
Well, obviously they had. I don't know if they signed them or not. 96,600 mail-in ballots were illegally counted as they were not cast by a legal voter. This is Georgia. Russell Ramsland confirms that data breaches in the Dominion software permitted rogue hackers to penetrate and manipulate the software during the recent general election. He further concludes that at least 96,600 mail-in ballots were legally counted as they were not cast by legal voters. Expert Navid Keshavaresvnia states that Dominion software is vulnerable to data manipulation by unauthorized means and permitted election data to be altered in all battleground states. He concludes that hundreds of thousands of votes that were cast for President Trump in 2020 general election were transferred to former Vice President Biden.
Wow.
Democrat majority counties performed virtually no signature verification, allowing massive illegal vote dumps for Biden. In Georgia, the signature verification requirement is a dead letter. The signature rejection rate for the most recent election announced by the Secretary of State was 0.15%. The signature rejection rate for the absentee ballot applications was 0.00167.
That's like
only
nil.
30. Statewide. Hancock County, Georgia, population of 8,348, rejected 9 absentee ballot applications for signature mismatch. Fulton County rejected 8. No other metropolitan county in Georgia rejected even a single absentee ballot application for signature mismatch.
That's huge. Wow.
Not only was Dominion prone to attack from China and Iran, it was also connected to pro-Obama entity known as Acorn. The bombshell city came out on Thanksgiving Eve and simultaneously filed a complaint in Michigan. General Flynn, Attorney Abigail Fry broke the news on Wednesday night. The KRAKEN came down on Georgia this Thanksgiving Eve. Then on Thanksgiving Day, Sidney Powell retweeted 2 tweets by Liberty Times and Politics.
Politics is the word you want.
The tweets included a court filing that includes information on Dominion and Edison Research connections to the internet. We noted that the document identifies Dominion's Trump hater Eric Coomer is the inventor of the authentication function within the application. A particular interest in this is a section of the document showing aspects of the nature of the patents dealing with authentication. Smartmatic creates the backbone like the cloud. Seidel is responsible for the security within the election systems. Then on page 16 of the legal filing, the document identifies foreign actors having access to U.S. elections through the Dominion Edison Research connections. This was shocking news. Were any Americans aware that our election systems were so prone to attack? It says, as seen in the included document, Iranian advanced persistent threat actor identified obtaining voter registration data that was authored by the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, with the product ID. It says that, so Iran was allowed to access our voter registration data. In my professional opinion, this affidavit represents unambiguous evidence that Dominion voter systems and Edison research have been accessible and were certainly compromised by rogue actors such as Iran and China by using servers and employees connected with rogue actors and hostile foreign influences combined with numerous easily discoverable leaked credentials. These organizations neglectfully allowed foreign adversaries to access our data.
You skipped over one part that's important here. A website scanning software to find vulnerabilities within election company websites confirmed to be used by the Iranian APT teams and by seized cloud storage that I had personally captured and reported to higher authorities. These scanning behaviors showed that foreign agents of aggressor nations had access to U.S. voter lists and had done so recently.
Yeah. So there's a lot more here. However, it says, as we pursued the appendix further, we see that Iran and China are not the only entities with access to Dominion data and the ability to manipulate the results of our elections. There is a direct connection to Belgrade, Serbia, and there were numerous Dominion employees in Serbia. But on page 8, we see Dominion, Edison, has connections to domestic players. One entity is Indivisible, which was formerly Obama-connected Acorn. A search of the indivisible.org network showed a subdomain which evidences the existence of scorecard software is used in use as part of the Individual, formerly Acorn, political group for Obama. This is where some of this stuff gets really deep for me. Commercial break is that Los Angeles.
I'd like to take a moment and share another announcement. Ever since March 15th, when Los Angeles was the first city to shut down businesses where people gather, we've made it our mission to limit the spread of this disease and to limit the risk of lives and to our economy. We've been clear from the beginning that getting together in groups outside of your household that is not permitted is not allowed. And we've asked Angelenos not to gather or to have parties. I know this has been a tough ask because we're Angelenos. We like to be with each other. We like to be around people. We want to see our friends and families, and I know how tough these months have been for all of us. Everything that we are doing, though, everything that we individually keep more businesses' doors open. But all the sacrifices can be undone by those who, Department of Public Health said yesterday, and I quote, "The highest risk settings are large in-person gatherings where it is difficult for individuals to remain spaced at least 6 feet apart, and where face coverings are not worn. The consequences of these large parties ripple far beyond just those parties. They ripple throughout our entire vacant or used for short-term rentals. And beyond the noise, the traffic, and nuisance, these large parties are unsafe and can cost Angelenos their lives. That is why tonight I am authorizing the city to shut off Los Angeles Department of Water and Power Service in the egregious cases in which houses, businesses, and other venues are hosting unpermitted large gatherings. Starting on Friday night, if the LAPD responds and verifies that a large gathering is occurring at a property, and we see these properties reoffending time and time again, they will provide notice and initiate the process to request that DWP shut off service within the next 48 hours. To be clear, while we hope that you will avoid gatherings of all sizes,
they're going to cut off people's power and water. What did you say about the end time, the apocalypse and prepping?
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff?
For years, we've been talking about how do we prepare for a time should we be without power or be without water, right? We've talked about it. We feel like we are prepared here at God's Little Acre to handle a situation like that. But we kind of always thought it would be EMP, massive war, China invades, something like that. We were not thinking that it would be our own government coming in and threatening us that if we did not obey, they would get rid of our electricity and our power, to use that as a threat. I don't see how they can actually force the power company and the water companies to do that.
It's weird. It's definitely weird. Fight back.
Guys,
Now's the time to be a prepper, baby. Put the pedal to the metal. You got your little space food, but the problem with space food, it's just dehydrated. You need water.
I want you guys, and this sounds
Maybe
weird.
buy all
I
the
know, you're
dehydrated stuff, and it's like, but they turned off my water for my dehydrated food, baby.
I know. And I think it's in LA where it's like illegal to catch rainwater. So they make everything illegal. I want you to understand something. It sounds really
Welcome,
awful.
Four Corners, new people here saying hi.
Oh, hi there. I am upset and I'm sad for the Los Angeles citizens.
They looked at the Hunger Games and said, that's a really good idea. Let's try that.
Yeah, that's funny. But what we said today when we were talking to Pastor Brian and his wife was it had to get to this point. And I think I said this last night. It's like God's allowing, he's like shaking people. Like, do you not see this is what happens when you allow these kinds of, so many people have been walking around taking the freedoms and liberty that we have in the United States for granted.
Yeah.
Okay? Because in other countries, they don't have it. And Americans, we are prideful and we are arrogant, thinking they can never touch us. And so many people have rolled over going, well, they haven't really taken my rights away because I'm saying that I just won't hold those things. And so then they don't take my power away and they don't take my water away. So they're not taking my rights away. Right? But too many people, I should say, are waking up to this. Yeah. And it's actually a good thing.
It is.
It's a good thing that they are taking it this far, because I think you can look at these different places, and God is allowing in the different places how people in South Dakota, y'all must be doing something right, because you don't need to learn this lesson. But I think you can look at how difficult it is. Like it's the worst in California and in New York. God's saying they needed it the most.
Yeah.
And that's a fact.
They just needed a wake-up call.
It's just, it's purely for a wake-up call. That doesn't mean we don't fight it. That doesn't mean we don't stand up for people in LA and in California. But it does mean that God...
We'll stand up with those who are standing up. This is a really good short clip from Conrad Black here.
These people calling for the president to
Conrad.
Let us remember what the motives of these people are. It's the Democrats who want to be able to sigh with relief that the crisis is over. The monster is gone. This dreadful meteor has passed. And the never-Trump Republicans, who could never stand him anyway, but were afraid of him, and he controls their party now, are coming out in the old sort of George Bush masquerade of good sportsmanship. Well, he's under no obligation to be a good sport. He was the victim of unprecedented, unconstitutional attempts to undo his election 4 years ago. He's clearly been the victim of some level of unusual
skullduggery
this year. In between, he was harassed by the totally spurious and outrageous Russia collusion canard and a nonsensical, unfounded impeachment trial. And it's a bit rich for the authors of all those colossal illegalities and improprieties to call upon President Trump to be a good sport when they just tried to steal his election.
No.
Perfect.
Do we have Trump's tweets on the docket for, besides just the one?
I have Trump up. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna get to that now. You gotta go soon. Mexico's president still refuses to recognize Biden win. And I was joking about this because Mexico knows how these elections are run, and he knows Trump's president. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
All right, so
Kaylee, she just came and went.
All right, let's see. You missed it, but you can go back and watch. Trump tweeted out Rudy Giuliani will be on Greg Kelly reports 7:15 at Newsmax. We have been tuning into what you can do on YouTube is you can watch Newsmax and you can rewind it and then skip the commercials, but whatever. It says
watch the commercials.
The restaurant business is being absolutely decimated. Congress should step up and help. Time is of the essence. He retweets out Senator Doug Mastriano. This was posted on our Department of State dashboard, but has since been deleted. Pennsylvania official votes. Pennsylvania reports have mailed out 1,823,148 ballots, of which 1,400,062 were returned. Yet total mail-in vote number totals are 2.5 million. Okay, this was posted. They said this. Okay, this is Senator Doug Mastriano. Says this was posted on our Department of State dashboard, but has been deleted as of 11/24. This is where the Rudy Giuliani's number came from. This was on their Department of State dashboard. Now, any other numbers that you're getting in,
right,
were not posted on the dashboard. Okay, and then what does it say? Multiple sources called this election differently. But here's the thing. What do you mean called this election differently? What is this stupid thing here? This is just a statement of fact. Why do you have that there? This isn't a calling of the race.
Can you explain to people, in case they're not doing the math there, when you look at just look specifically at the mail column. You look at the almost 600,000 votes for Trump, and then you look at the almost 2 million votes there for Biden there, and then you look at the election column, okay? Mm-hmm. And that none of these numbers are adding up.
Right.
Okay.
Here's the mail-in ballot. This is the mail-in ballot. They're saying 2.5 million, okay? They're saying were received, but the Department of State said that they had reported 1.8 million mailed out. That's what Rudy Giuliani kept talking about.
Where did those come from? We all know where they came from.
And see, this is this extra thing. So watch this, okay? I want to like this. No, are you sure you want to like this? Then you have to like it over here. And then, like, want to tweet it out? Yeah, I want to tweet it out. But they make you go through it, jump through hoops to do it. Let's see. Biden did.
I love hanging on. I'm walking them through this because I have this up for them to see. Now we're on Trump's page, and they want to suggest who to follow. We should be following Barack Obama. We should be following just CNN, because we like Trump. We should be following CNN, and we should be following Hillary Clinton there. I love that. That's so great.
Biden did poorly in big cities. Politico, except those of Detroit, more votes than people. Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Milwaukee, which he had to win. Not surprisingly, they are located in the most important swing states and are known for being politically corrupt. Let's see. I want to play this from Nevada. Judge allows Trump team to present evidence. Okay.
I just have it up. Can you guys hear that? No, it's muted.
Is going to do. I can only is exactly what a court is going to do. I can only say what evidence that we are going to present, and the evidence that we are going to present will be compelling, will be extremely strong, showing that the result of Nevada was wrong when it was certified to go for Joseph Biden, because in fact Donald Trump is the one who won Nevada, and so that is what we can do. We can go in and put that evidence forward, and we are very confident that will be very compelling for any court that hears this evidence.
Wow. Nevada's a big one.
And are you hopeful that...
We're playing here.
Yeah. Let's see.
We read this one earlier. Go ahead, keep moving.
I don't know if you guys knew this, but Moshan Fakhrizadeh has been assassinated in Damazvand, east of Tehran, according to reports in Iran. He was head of Iran's secret military program, that nuclear military program, and wanted for many years by Mossad. His death is a major psychological and professional blow for Iran. Now, John Brennan has come out and said this should have never happened. It's horrible. It's going to ruin peace in the Middle East. And it's very interesting that things should have waited till the next administration came in. It's very interesting that Brennan would put his neck out there for Iran like that. Iran's top nuclear scientist was fatally shot in northern Iran. He was seen as the force behind its nuclear weapons program. Tweeting out Dan Scavino here. We played this.
Here, let me play it here because we're small.
Well, we'll skip that one because we've played it before.
All right.
That's the ballots, crazy ballot things happening in.
I loved this tweet. Big tech and the fake news media have partnered to suppress freedom of the press. Freedom of the press is gone, a thing of the past. That's why they refuse to report the real facts and figures of the 2020 election, or even where's Hunter?
Where's Hunter? So much truth. You want to play that?
This one?
No, go down.
This one?
You watch those nature documentaries on the cable?
Yeah.
So everybody was tweeting that out. Donald Trump, we got your back.
awesome.
Donald Trump, we're coming. We're coming. You fought for us. We're fighting for you.
Oh, man.
Donald Trump, you fought for us. We're fighting for
That's
you.
so good. All right, what else are we looking at here?
Dee's just been tweeting out like amazing things. These are the people in the streets.
Should I play one here? I'm trying to follow you.
Let's see. No, the 2020 election was a total scam. We won by a lot and will hopefully turn over the fraudulent result, but we must get out and help David and Kelly. They want, there's going to be a Trump rally next Saturday.
We thought it was going to be tomorrow when we were showing you when we were on
Trump
our show last night.
supporters in Georgia are considering boycotting the election. He's telling people to go ahead and get out. So I think I'm going to move on here.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Very good.
Yeah. So
that was really fun.
Yes, that was fun.
Sorry about the curse words, guys. Leah can't remember them all.
I can't remember them all. Oh, that's
Patriot Gallery.
Patriot Gallery up from. I have some things up I didn't know I had up. All right. According to an affidavit, you guys want to watch Patriot Gallery's 2 shows from last night. Really good Thanksgiving shows. According to an affidavit in the Michigan lawsuit, because it goes perfectly along with the word Lord gave me with dominion and reigning, and it's just awesome.
Also, Four Corners, our new viewer here, says Trump tweeted to stop Order 230. That was one of my absolute favorite tweets of the week. So good.
Look at these numbers. I don't know if you guys can see them. According to an affidavit in the Michigan lawsuit, one Michigan precinct township had, I don't know if Michelle can get you these numbers, 781%
Is that
turnout.
on your parlor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Zealand Charter Township, 460% turnout. Grout Township, 215% turnout. And it just goes on and on and on and on. 781% north of Muskegon. There in Detroit, according to the one affidavit. Pretty crazy there. So this is a video with Eric Coomer. And he's the far left activist who has been doing software updates. I don't want to play it again because I feel like he's demonic. He's weird to me. But he's smirking.
Just tell him about it.
As at the November elections, as he talks about these last minute patches that he's going to do.
Can I have your phone? I'm trying to log into your parlor.
Oh, that's funny. All right.
Well, don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. Don't talk to. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way. Well, don't talk to me that way.
I heard about that, but I had not seen that clip.
Yeah,
that's so epic.
I know.
Trump is done. Like we're just done. These people they are acting like you literally have 1,100 followers on Parlor. People.
Yeah. All right, so in
Here it
Georgia
is. All right,
recount,
I'm pulling up these numbers for them to look at. Now, look. No, you do have to see this. This is important for Leah to have me pull this up because these numbers are big. Back to what Leah was just trying to show. Look at the turnout. You can't have a turnout of 781% or 460% or even 215, 205, 139, 120. Okay, and you never get 100%. Anything over 80 is wrong. But 781% turnout, guys, no.
So what do they?
There's your smoking gun.
Right, smoking guns there. So in Georgia, they really need to find the signature verification because the numbers of these absentee ballots they're just pushed. They pushed them through with no verification whatsoever.
Of the signatures on the absentee ballot envelopes, and we need to make sure that those signatures match the absentee ballot application, and also that the absentee ballot application matches the signature on file from the voter registration signature or the motor voter when you went to get your driver's license signature.
Georgia has become a focal point of the 2020 election, with questions remaining.
I'm not going to play the whole thing. That's from Epoch Times. A lot of good things. There's no from American thought leaders. Sorry, that was Epoch Times. All right, let's see. Matt Brainard's doing great stuff. He says, I will be presenting the VIP findings in person at Arizona hearing. That's going to be a knockout there because Matt's just got this big personality, but his numbers are big. Work from the VIP has now.
I don't think his personality is dry. I enjoyed listening to him.
I enjoyed it, but it is pretty dry. Work from the VIP has now appeared or will appear, and actually it gives him a credibility because he's not like over the top crazy,
right.
You know. Work from this thing that he did has now appeared or will appear in court filings in PA, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona, including the declarations that they did collect. Those legal declarations of people. Here we have Sidney Powell. We've got pictures of check stubs paid to people to ballot harvest.
Come on, KRAKEN.
We've got pictures of the check stubs paid to people to ballot harvest and do fraudulent voting. So this year was every means and manner of fraud that you can possibly imagine, and many that you could never imagine.
So how many fraudulent votes do you think that Joe Biden had on his side of the slate?
Probably at least 10 million.
10 million fraudulent votes?
Probably.
And how many
more?
And President Trump lost 7 million votes. And how many dead people? How many votes of dead people were cast? Do you think?
We're still tracking down that data to see if what we've been provided is real. But if it is correct, it's several million.
Several million dead people voting. Wow.
So like this one is easy. Joe Biden got over 1 million votes in Maricopa County. Obama in 2008 got 500,000 votes in 2008. Now consider the current Biden margin for victory in Arizona is less than 13,000 votes. Trump won the state by over 90,000 votes in 2016. Okay, sure. Whatever you want to say. Whatever you say. Lou Dobbs says, never concede. Federalist J.B. Shirk reports Biden underperformed Hillary in every major metro area from around the country, save Milwaukee, Detroit, Atlanta, Philadelphia. Washington Post election analyst Robert Burns notes the votes even conceded the number of registered voters. That's Washington Post. All right, California, another Democrat goes down to Republican in this blue wave election, quote unquote. California 21 goes to David Valadao. Joe Biden set an election record with over 80 million votes while his fellow Democrats got destroyed in the House races.
It's miraculous.
A miracle. We talked about this. Senator Doug Mastriano is drafting a joint resolution to strip the Secretary of State's power to appoint presidential electors. This is the ultimate trump card that the GOP-controlled state legislators can wield to fight back on election fraud. Dominion, the final result awards the winner based on points from the algorithm, not actual votes. The fact we observed raw vote data that includes decimal places strongly suggests that this was in fact done. This is solid evidence of vote manipulation, and it is a fact. Why are there any vote totals with decimal points?
No, and we talked about this on other shows, but if you're not following or you don't understand that, we are used to being fine dealing with decimal points and percentages. Right. Okay? But it's like when we talk about having 2.5 kids. Mm-hmm. That's if you group things together and then divide them, but you cannot do that with votes. It's a mathematical impossibility to have a certain number of votes and then for the tallies to tally up with decimal points. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can do percentages later. Trump won this percentage of like the people and stuff like that, but the actual, you cannot have a point system.
Right. Nevada, 13,372 phantom voters. In an affidavit, a data scientist found a huge surge of incomplete voter registrations and those giving casinos and temporary RV parks as their home or mailing address.
Oh my gosh.
Not okay. Michigan, Biden achieved 97% of all additional new votes above the 2016 election total and achieved 151% more new votes than new registrations. These statistical anomalies would keep political scientists up at night if it weren't against any president not named Trump. At a county and district level of analysis, statistical anomalies appear in even greater ratios. For example, in the township of Livonia, Wayne County, which was a majority Republican county in 2016 general election, shown Biden gained 3.2 new voters to every new Trump voter, even though Trump swept this county.
Swept.
Well, you can say swept. It's a word.
Okay.
Yeah. In 2016. Biden also achieved 97% of all new votes above the 2016 general election vote total sum in Livonia, as well as achieved 151% more new votes than all total new registrations in the township.
That's not that's not even a miracle at that point. It's an impossibility. You can't, do you understand? There's 100%. Okay? It's 100%. If I spend 100% of my money, I have zero money. If I spend 150% of my money, it's not really my money. At that 50%, I'm spending somebody else's money.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thing to concede, because we know there was massive fraud. So as to whether or not I can get this apparatus moving this quickly, because time isn't on our side, everything else is on our side, facts are on our side.
Yep.
This was a massive fraud. This should never take place in this country. We're like a third world country.
Just to be clear, if the Electoral College votes for Joe Biden, will you concede?
Well, if they do, they made a mistake, because this election was a fraud. Just so you understand, this election was a fraud. I mean, they have Biden beating Obama on Obama's vote in areas that mattered in terms of the election, in swing states. And yet he's losing to Obama all over the place. But he's beating Obama in swing states, which are the states that mattered for purposes of the election.
And the state where all the states where all the fraud happened.
No, I can't say that at all. I think it's a possibility. They're trying to look between you people. Don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. Don't talk to. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way.
I love him so much. Oh my gosh, so awesome.
We played that one in the beginning. I love this from General Flynn. Forgive me. Jesus spoke again to Georgia and said, "You are the light of the world. Whoever follows you will never walk in darkness, but will have great light of life. Georgians follow the light." And it was Sidney Powell on the Sidney Powell suit that was dropped.
Awesome.
So Tracy Beans, she's a really great investigative reporter. Her house burned down last week, and people have rallied. I don't know what her GoFundMe is, but it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so she's been able to get back to work. So she says, "We just finished recording the Dark to Light podcast, and it was great. We covered Michigan and Georgia KRAKEN releases, the pardon for General Flynn, and are joined to close out by Joseph Flynn for an interview. I'm back, baby. Don't miss it today. Search Dark to Light on all major platforms."
Good for her.
So I want you guys to go check that out. Good morning. In PA, a judge holds a certification. In Wisconsin, a judge allowed a petition on 150,000 ballots. In Nevada, a judge issued an evidentiary hearing. In Michigan, Sidney Powell, military intel can prove the switches. In Georgia, Sidney Powell can show Dominion bribe. And Linwood got an expedited review in the 11th Circuit. So, Doug Mastriano says, "The point of Twitter suspending my Doug Mastriano personal account is to prevent me from posting to my Senate account to silence our voice. Please, if you see this, retweet this and follow me. Thanks for your help." And you can follow Doug Mastriano 1.
So I thought you said he's back on Twitter, but they didn't give him his Twitter back.
Yeah. Isn't that it? Wasn't that his?
Maybe he's got a new one.
And no,
like
they gave
I
it back
had
to
to
him.
do.
No,
they
gave
did?
it back to him,
Okay.
yeah. Democracy can die in darkness, in dark rooms with no transparency. This is so important.
When I was doing strategy in Russia, Putin's about people stuffing ballot boxes. The same thing that happened in Pennsylvania. When I saw that 15, 20 years ago, I was like, well, thank God we're not like that. Democracy can die in darkness, in dark rooms with no transparency and accountability. We're shining light on this darkness here. We're going to take our state back. We're not standing aside in this hour. As Representative Metcalf rightly said, in 1994, there was so much shenanigans and cheating in the Marks versus Stinson case that a federal district judge threw out the election results, took a senator out of Harrisburg, state senator, and put the Republican in because the election results were so corrupted. So we do have a precedent here, federal courts, and I hope you take a hard look at that. One vote, one person, one legal vote per person, and any cheating goes in there disenfranchises an American. I can't believe this is happening here, and we're not going to let it stand. I don't know why it's so hard. I know it's hard because this has been going on here for a lot longer than we imagine. But in Galatians 6:9, we're told by St. Paul, "Grow not weary doing good, because in due time you'll reap your harvest." We're going to reap our harvest.
So good. So good.
I don't even know what's happening. What kind of movie am I in? I'm in a Christian movie, but I'm in like the best Christian movie. All right. Okay.
Mother of all bombs.
This is a thread, and I don't know how long you can stay. The KRAKEN is General Flynn. And I don't know how to prove this thread, but people have been tweeting it out, and I think it's legit. He commanded the 111th 1111 Military Intelligence Brigade for the U.S. Army at Fort Huachuca Arizona.
Cioccolanti.
That's a good. I like Cucha. Arizona. Insignia equals the KRAKEN. The 305th Military Intelligence Battalion is located at Fort
Cioccolanti,
Arizona. Michigan witness for Sidney Powell. Coincidence? KRAKEN incoming. A witness for Sidney Powell worked the 305th Military Intelligence Battalion. General Flynn was a notable commander for the 111th Military Intelligence Brigade. Both were located at Fort
Cioccolanti. I don't even have to look at it. Cioccolanti.
KRAKEN was developed by military intelligence. The KRAKEN is a counterintelligence, counterinsurgency tool that is able to track vote switching. The vote switching operation began.
Robin tells me it's Cioccolanti.
Cioccolanti. I think the H is silent.
It's gotta be like Native American. It's the Bahamas.
It's the Bahamas.
Hey, I was taught phonics.
Cioccolanti.
I was taught to read phonetically.
The H's are usually silent. Except
Not
for like,
always.
Hello. All right.
Cioccolanti.
Usually with a U, it's All right. So this, against the 2020 election was a CIA op based in Frankfurt, Germany. The CIA op involved the DHS cybersecurity agency. Foreign election interference are matters of national security. Treason. Michigan. No leak. Sidney Powell, witness, is a former 305th Military Intelligence with expertise in gathering, it says, as explained and demonstrated in the accompanying redacted declaration of a former electronic intelligence and analysis under General Flynn's military intelligence, with experience gathering SAM missile system electronic intelligence, the Dominion software was accessed by agents acting on behalf of China and Iran in order to monitor and manipulate elections, including the most recent U.S. general election. This declaration further includes a copy of the patent records for Dominion systems, in which Eric Coomer is listed as the first inventors of Dominion voting systems. And then over here it says, I was the electronic intelligence analyst on the 305th Military Intelligence with experience gathering SAM missile intelligence. I have extensive experience as a white hat hacker used by some of the top election specialists in the world. The methodologies I have employed represent industry standard cyber operation toolkits for digital forensics and the OSINT, which are commonly used to certify connections between servers, network nodes, and other digital properties, and probe network system vulnerabilities. This goes to show that General Flynn is helping figure this thing out, and he is calling in people that he knows know this stuff, white hat hackers. What's going on here? What's going on in the system? So when Sidney Powell says, I'm going to release the KRAKEN, I have these military intelligence people who can say forensically, I can see this happening. This is legit and it's going to go to court. Hammer and scorecard are real. The USIC has developed a hammer and scorecard tools which were released by WikiLeaks and independently confirmed by Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney. The hammer and scorecard capabilities are tradecrafts used by the U.S. intelligence analysts to conduct the MITM attacks on foreign voting systems. You think they're going to just admit to this?
Right.
But don't you know that General Flynn is privy to this?
Yeah.
Including the Dominion voting systems, democracy suite, and systems of software, the ES and S voting machines, without leaving an electronic fingerprint. Lots of words there. This is a matter of the Constitution. I don't know if you guys are aware, but the Jewish people went to the Supreme Court over Governor Cuomo's rules that allowed for certain places to be open and have extra people, but not synagogues and churches.
Right.
And if you guys didn't know this, but the turncoat here is Justice Roberts, who is always scapegoating in a really important decision. He says that because that has been rescinded, that he's not going to rule on it. But if it's reinstituted, then maybe he'll make a ruling on it. But the ruling is that means that Governor Cuomo can still again stop people from meeting together in churches and for the religious liberty.
How much of your show do you have left?
Well, I can
just run next door, and I have a cat that needs to be fed with a pill.
You should go next door.
I'll be right back.
I'm going to keep going. No, well,
I'll just do her medicine. I will finish the visit afterwards. I'll play with them and do the litter afterwards.
Would you just listen? Take us with me.
I'm going to take you with me.
Take us with you,
and I will be back.
Turn this way so I can keep you people with me.
Okay.
All right. Father Frank Pavone reacts to the Supreme Court ruling over religious freedoms in the United States.
New York, between the way that churches were being treated and liquor stores and bicycle shops. And this is a matter not just of basic fairness that Americans want, It's a matter of the Constitution, because we all study the Bill of Rights, in grade school, and very, very first on that Bill of Rights is that the government cannot restrict the exercise of religion. That's exactly what Governor Cuomo did. And fortunately, the justices of the Supreme Court saw it that way as well. Now, interesting little twist in here. Some of the justices on the court said, well, we don't have to intervene to stop the implementation of this order because the governor just changed it, and those areas in New York that were affected are no longer in the red and the orange zone. And the majority said, listen, that's not the point. He could re-engage that classification tomorrow. The point is a constitutional issue. And, Tom, we've been putting this in a broader context. Over the last 15 years, we've had like 14 major victories in our federal court system on religious freedom, at the Supreme Court specifically. And we're turning a corner on religious freedom. President Trump has certainly helped that an enormous amount. And this decision just from the other day, although it's an intermediate decision, that's the merits of this case are still being hammered out in the appellate court. So we're going to see more about this case. But yes, we're on the right track. And
I think we are. I think we've turned a corner. Pretty excited about it. That's not what I want. My Gateway Pundit articles. Attention, Trump campaign. Get this. Green Party candidate Jill Stein won groundbreaking case in October, gives campaign right to examine voting machine source code. Let's hope this makes it to the Trump campaign. On October 30th, 2020, Green Party candidate Jill Stein finally won her groundbreaking case that gave her campaign the right to examine voting machine source code in Wisconsin. It took Jill Stein 4 years to win this case in court. After witnessing the historic level of fraud in this year's election, it makes us all question the numbers in past elections. The 2016 Libertarian voters kept Donald Trump from adding New Hampshire, Minnesota, Maine to his electoral haul. Were those actual Libertarian votes in 2016, or were they switched from Trump to Jerry Johnson to prevent him from winning those states? Jill Stein celebrated this win with a string of tweets on October 30th. The Trump campaign should take notice. Confiscating the voting machines in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona may be crucial to exposing the fraud in this year's election. Big news. The recount campaign has won our court fight in Wisconsin, overcoming the final obstacle to a groundbreaking examination of voting machine source code by defeating voting machines vendors' attempts to gag us from telling the public what we find. Wisconsin courts ruled that the largest U.S. manufacturer of voting machines, ES&S, has no right to suppress the findings of our upcoming inspection of voting machine source code. The inspection will bring much needed transparency and accountability to the software and the counts of our votes. It's outrageous that the voting machine vendors managed to tie our recount case up in court for almost 4 years with their legal machinations funded by profits from government contracts, preventing us from examining voting machines used in Wisconsin before the 2020 election. Wonder why? We're in discussions to plan our examination of voting machine source code in Wisconsin. This is a unique opportunity for independent scrutiny and will give the public and officials a more complete picture of election security risks and ultimately for more safe voting. So the Stein 2016 recount campaign has won our court fight in Wisconsin. So we want to see if the Trump campaign can get in on this and get some access to these voting machines, because that's where it's all going to come out. Huge. Sidney Powell witness, whom the New York Times actually described as always the smartest person in the room, concludes hundreds of thousands of votes transferred from Trump to Biden in all battleground states. A cyber crimes expert, Dr. Navid Kesharev-Nia, may be the one to save our election for President Trump. I want to get it right, because if he's going to, he should be able to pronounce his name right. Keshavarez-Nia is not a stranger to the mainstream media. In fact, the New York Times published a glowing report of Dr. Navid Nia way back in September, writing, Dr. Navid Keshavarez-Nia, who those who worked with him said he's always the smartest person in the room. In his statement to Sidney Powell, Dr. Nia concludes that the election data in all battleground states were altered, resulting in hundreds of thousands of votes transferred to Joe Biden. I conclude, with high confidence that the election of 2020 data were altered in all battleground states, resulting in hundreds of thousands of votes that were cast for President Trump to be transferred to Biden. These alterations were the result of systemic and widespread exploitable vulnerabilities in the DVS, the CITL, the SOE software, and Smartmatic systems that enabled operators to achieve the desired results. In my view, the evidence is overwhelming and incontrovertible. Pursuant to, I declare under penalty of perjury. This is actually huge. He is an experienced ethical hacker, big data architect, and cloud security expert in cloud computing, blockchain technology, and big data analytic solutions. It takes a hacker to find a hacker. It takes a software engineer to figure out what the software engineer is doing. You and I we are not. The software was designed to be undetectable by people like me or people smarter than us, but only the smartest in the room, the people who know what to look for, the people who do this stuff, who write this software, who hack this software, know what to look for. And this is the smartest guy in the room, and he's saying, I see it, okay? You and I are going to, unless we have the microscope, unless we know what we're looking at under the microscope, we may not be able to see the genetic code of something. Okay, and that's why a lot of people, I feel like it's okay to be ignorant, but it's not okay to be dumb. Ignorant people may not be able to crack the code, some sort of genetic code. They may not be able to look under the microscope and figure out what the cells and the nucleus and the electrodes electrons that we're looking at. But a dumb person will not honor the smart person in the room, okay? Will not honor their achievements, okay? It's okay to be ignorant. It's not okay to be dumb, right? So he is an experience in all this stuff. He has letter supported the CIA, the NSA, the DHS, with the cyber security, and the FBI. As it turns out, Attorney Sidney Powell has plenty of firepower to back up her KRAKEN claims about the 2020 presidential election. These guys aren't going to put their names on the line, sign under penalty of perjury. He's like, I am a nuclear scientist, basically. I'm a cyber scientist. I know these things. I know this code. I know what I'm looking at, okay? Including high-tech intelligence experts who concluded electronic ballot theft tipped the results in key battleground states. Sidney Powell was right. She was right to put this out, and she told us all about it, from Eric Coomer to the Dominion software. She was talking to these people. They had contacted her. She said, these people are smarter than me. You know why? Because she's not dumb. She may be ignorant on super cyber expert PhD level stuff, and that's okay. We don't all have to be an expert in everything, all right? But she's smart enough to recognize the smartest person in the room. And that makes her really smart. And that makes her equal to the smartest person in the room. Including high-tech intelligence experts who concluded electronic ballot theft tipped the results in key battleground states. First and foremost, Dr. Navid Keshavarez Nia, an experienced cyber crimes investigator and digital security executive who has worked with the CIA and the NSA, and the FBI, and the U.S. military counterintelligence, as well as corporate financial giants like Deutsche Bank and Stripe. In an affidavit... Isn't it Deutsche Bank? Deutsche Bank. There's an affidavit filed by Powell's complaint in the Georgia court before Wednesday. He had this bombshell assessment of hundreds of thousands of votes. I conclude with high confidence that the election in 2020 data were altered, okay? He says these alterations, he added, resulted from widespread vulnerabilities in voting software and systems that allowed a man-in-the-middle cyber attack to convert by covert operators. Chances are good the mainstream media on cue will launch an assault on the credibility of Nia, who currently lives in California. I'm sure that they will. I'm absolutely sure that they will.
Omega Man says, I think you were right the first time.
All right.
Not enough memory to open this page.
Dominion uses a fact check statement by the CISA group that includes Dominion to prove its innocence on its own fact check page.
Oh my God. They do this all the time with this circular reasoning. It doesn't work that way, okay? That's like me saying, listen, I am going to tell you how honest I am by reading an article that I wrote about how honest that I am.
Yeah. This is something that I haven't really been wanting to do because it bothers me. There are a lot of combinations for Trump, and there's combinations for Biden, but I'm just going to tell you guys which way these things are going to go, okay? Just know. Pennsylvania's going to go red. Wisconsin's going to go red. Michigan's going to go red. Georgia's going to go red. Arizona's going to go red. Nevada's going to go red. We're done.
We're done. We are done here.
I don't need the 13 pass for Trump. We're just done, okay? Obama says mail-in ballots. Remember this? Obama says mail-in ballots can only be trusted if the signatures are verified. Now, back in 2008, before Democrat Party completed their transition into an unashamed Marxist organization, Barack Obama argued that mail-in ballots can be trusted if the signatures can only be trusted if the signatures are verified. Can you believe that? Remember when Barack Obama challenged whether signatures matched? Guess what the average rejection rate was? 62%.
Oh my gosh.
Real Donald Trump only needs a rejection rate of 1 to 2% for election results to not be certified for Biden.
Wow. Okay.
The names of Barack Obama's 4 1996 state Senate primary opponents, the 4 candidates who run into I'm not going to read their names. The 4 candidates who wanted to run against Obama turned in 529 to 1,000, about 1,100 signatures, more than the legal requirement of 757. Yet, an insufficient number of valid signatures was the reason all 4 Barack Obama's opponents were denied the opportunity to run against the future president.
Oh my gosh.
Obama's 4 opponents were not frivolous candidates seeking publicity. Who knew in 1996 that the first-time state Senate candidate Barack Obama would be elected president in 2008? So here are the percentages of invalid signatures that Obama challenged: 64, 48, 70, 65, and 62. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Like ballot signatures have to match when it's your guy, right? When it's your guy. So I guess we don't have to hear Obama say it. We'll just quote him. Well, I think we have to figure out whether this is fraud proof. I mean, Oregon has a terrific mail-in system, but they've already scanned everyone's signature who's registered to vote so that they can check to make sure that, in fact, the right people are voting. That's what he said back then. Vermont governor directs schools to interrogate students about their family's Thanksgiving
This
activities.
was really disturbing.
Governor Phil Scott of Vermont is now directing schools to interrogate children about what they do on Thanksgiving. He wants to know if they had a large family gathering. Did you ever imagine things like this would be taking place in the United States? The Federalist reports, Vermont governor instructs schools to interrogate students about family gathering. Phil Scott is giving schools the green light to interrogate students about their Thanksgiving activities following the break. So you think your teacher's going to say, ha, what did you do for Thanksgiving? Oh, happy, happy, happy. Now we're going to go arrest your parents. According to Scott, students or parents who admit to violating the state's holiday travel and gathering rules will be forced to participate in online school for 2 weeks. He announced via Twitter on Tuesday the penalty will be reduced to 1 week if the students in question take a COVID-19 test. The same quarantine method, Scott claimed, should apply to businesses whose employees decide to celebrate the Thanksgiving holidays with families and friends.
So, but if they get a COVID-19 test...
Wait. This means I don't have to go into work. This is fantastic.
Right. But if they take a COVID-19 test, why do they still have to stay away for 1 week? Is that some sort of punishment?
I'm guessing so.
Or do they just not trust the tests?
Oh, yeah, probably don't trust the tests. All right. Section 230 must be immediately terminated for the purposes of national security. Trumpy. Go ahead.
Twitter is sending out totally false trends that have absolutely nothing to do with what is really trending in the world. They make it up and only negative stuff. Same thing will happen to Twitter as is happening to Fox News Daytime. Also, big conservative discrimination for purposes of national security. Section 230 must be immediately terminated.
Fired.
You're fired. Twitter's fired. I'm gonna fire him so bad. The biggest firing. Oh my gosh. I mean, now, Twitter was...
This is one of my favorite stories.
Okay, so before you get to that, Twitter was trending something while we were on Trump's page earlier, and I don't remember what it was, but Biden cheated. Biden cheated. It was trending.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Wow.
It was. Yes, it was. Go back on our video and watch it. It was something like that. But yeah, I was really kind of shocked. And so this is what I said to Leah in the car.
Cheated in Milwaukee County.
Yeah, exactly. They're trending. Now here's why. Here's why. I said this to Leah in the car. You take this to the bank.
Keep it going,
Okay.
Patriots.
These people on Twitter, they put Mastriano back on, right? There was something else that they had done that was right. Oh, you said there was a handful of people that came back. Well, anyway, now they're allowing actual trends to be trending. They see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's all fine and it's all fun and games when you think your side is going to win and you just start like you start looting the stores and everything like that. Okay. But if the cops are showing up with cop cars and you're right there, you know what? Maybe you're going to think twice about the looting. Okay. So I really and truly believe that Twitter sees the light at the end of the tunnel and is like, oh my gosh,
They know.
Trump and Republicans are going to win this thing and we better step in line.
They have to have some of them that are in reality, that are cyber people that know what happened. Like there has to be some people that know.
And they have to be telling Jack like, hey Jack, we might not win this thing.
Yeah.
And so if we don't get in line now, they're coming after us. Hey Twitter.
Okay.
We're still coming after you.
Georgia lawsuit. This one is like cut and dry for me, and this is like legit. Witness testifies about the use of different paper for counterfeit ballots. Watermarked solid gray instead of transparent 100% for Joe Biden. Now, I saw a video on Parler. I thought I tweeted out. Now I can't find it. It's two Asian guys, and there's a room full of American election ballots, and they're talking about how the ink isn't right per the subtitles. I don't know what they're exactly saying. I kind of believe the subtitles, but my question is, he's picking up the ballots, and you can see they're American ballots. What is this room doing with these stacks of ballots? It's not secure. It's not a voting facility. It's not a printing facility. They come in stacks of 50 sealed. It just dawned on me, China is the biggest printing press in the world.
They're the biggest counterfeiters.
China can counterfeit anything. They can scan it, they put it in their fax machine, and they can just boom, 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 boom. So you wondered, where do these stacks of ballots come from? China. I'm not even kidding you. Like, you can take that to the bank, you can cash it. Like, that is legit. Like, I don't do conspiracy theory. I've been telling you guys, we don't do the conspiracy theory very much. We try to only bring you conspiracy fact that we know that we can factually prove. Okay, it's not a conspiracy theory if it's a truth. We investigate conspiracies. That's what's on our heart. That's what's big to us. Who are the big guys getting together trying to create a crime? I want to investigate that. I want to bring that to you. And we want to bring you the big conspiracies. The Federal Reserve, okay? That's the biggest one that has to go down. Okay, who shot JFK? You know, these things are important to us, okay? This is a big conspiracy, and it has to do with China. So, in the Sidney Powell's lawsuit, okay, it contained allegations of numerous irregularities, anomalies, old-fashioned ballot stuffing, violations of Georgia's election code, unlawful audit procedures. They just scanned them again. And what did they do? They actually found some votes for Trump because the stupid sticks were left in there, little USBs. Come on. We were told we were going to get a full audit with signature matching. Liars, because they're in on it. Raffensperger and Kemp.
Yes.
Georgia is as corrupt as they come. And guess what? We don't have a problem calling out Republican corrupt people. We don't, because we're not Republicans. None of us are real Republicans. Okay? Trump voters aren't, none of us are real Republicans. Trump wasn't even a Republican.
I'm actually
commandeered the party.
I'm so fascinated to find out Sidney's evidence when she quoted and said it crosses party lines. I'm like, let's hear it, because I know there's swamp creatures on our side. Let's have it.
Right. Many witnesses testified that they saw ballots marked for President Trump being put into Joe Biden piles and pre-printed pristine ballots that went 100% for Joe Biden. One affidavit testified they saw counterfeit ballots with darker colored watermarks that went 100% for Joe Biden. When the Elections Day director was alerted to the counterfeit ballots, they brushed off concerns and said the watermarks were darker because of the use of different printers. On page 35 of Sidney Powell's filing, the affidavit testified that the affidavit testified. I fixed it the second time. Testified about the use of different paper for ballots. that would constitute fraud stating. You have to have one job on this show.
Thank you. It's true. It's my only job.
What
Besides
word
the tech stuff.
you're gonna be?
Well, you said it the first time, and I didn't say anything when you said affidavit for affiant the first time, and then when you said it the second time, I couldn't. It came out like a fart.
I noticed that almost all of the ballots I reviewed were for Biden. Many batches went 100% for Biden. I also observed that the watermark on at least 3 ballots were solid gray instead of transparent, leading me to believe the ballot was counterfeit. I challenged this. The watermark was supposed to be transparent. What's it doing gray? What's it doing gray?
That's a good question.
Unless you're printing it in China.
Exactly.
I challenged this, and the elections director said it was a legitimate ballot and was due to the use of different printers. Many ballots had markings for Biden only and no markings on the rest of the ballot. Another affiant, the same witness who gave sworn testimony in Wood versus Raffensperger, explained she observed batches of pristine ballots with different textured paper with machine stamped bubbles that went 98% for Biden. Go ahead and read this. This is the same. This is one of my favorite stories. I know we brought it to you, but you have some new people. Go ahead and read this one.
Most of the ballots had already been handled. They had been written on by people, and the edges were worn. They showed obvious use. However, one batch stood out. It was pristine. There was a difference in the texture of the paper. It was as if they were intended for absentee use, but had not been used for that purpose. There was a difference in the feel. These different ballots included a slight depression pre-fold so that they could be easily folded and unfolded for use in the scanning machines. There were no markings on the ballots to show where they had come from or where they had been processed. These stood out. In my 20 years of experience of handling ballots, I observed that the markings for the candidates on these ballots were unusually uniform, perhaps even with a ballot marking device. By my estimate in observing these ballots, approximately 98% constituted votes for Joe Biden. I only observed 2 of these ballots as votes for President Donald J. Trump.
Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. Now, remember, hundreds of millions of dollars were spent on Dominion voting machines in numerous swing states before the 2020 election. The purchase and implementation of Dominion voting machines in swing states around the country was likely planned over a period of years. These machines are at the center of the fraud filings and actually at the center of why Joe Biden said that they have the biggest voting fraud thing. We got the machines. We got the COVID thing going. Right. Guys, COVID was just for this election. China's in on it. I know it hurts the head.
But they're utilizing it for a larger, here's the deal.
Reset.
The great societal reset is larger than the U.S. election. But it can't be carried out without the U.S. election. So COVID isn't just for the election. It's for the great reset. But it is also for the election.
Yeah, so $100 million spent on machines in Georgia, $30 million on voting machines in Michigan, Pennsylvania, $75 million over 5 years, and it just so happens that these are Arizona and Maricopa County. Millions for Dominion voting machines in June 2019.
I want you to pay special attention.
They're all connected.
There are plenty of counties in these states that don't. Now Georgia, I think, went full on with the software, with the Dominion voting and stuff like that.
But some of the counties
where we see the specific swing counties or the counties that were heavily Democrat where they could get away with it and stuff. Those are the counties where you will see they specifically got the Dominion software in there. Why not put
Nevada.
it in other counties?
$15 million in Nevada.
Why not put it in other counties? Like I mentioned, I don't know if it's Dominion software specifically, but it's electronic voting in a swing county that our best friend lives in, and her mother had her votes switched. But we have paper ballots. And the county right next door has paper ballots. Why would they only put the electronic voting in the counties that matter the most?
So, this is a letter to Donald Trump, an open anonymous letter, and go ahead and read it.
Above the black or the
2020 elections?
Okay, the 2020 elections have lived up to their expectations. They will be remembered as the critical juncture in our history, the point where either the individual American citizen lost his or her right to freely consent for their choice of government, or the point where Americans of all creeds, with you at the helm, rose up and beat back the elites. For the past 4 years, Mr. President, the media barraged you with an over 90% negative coverage. In spite of that, you prevailed in the hearts of the American public. Your political foes did their best to hamper your plans, yet you persisted. Unbeknownst to many, your foes had one last trick up their sleeves. This year, they conducted a fraudulent election process across the U.S. Their mainstream media counterparts then abetted the scheme by prematurely declaring your opponent the winner. They are trying to create a sense of uncertainty to make you quit. They know the public witnessed incidences of corruption and fraud at the polls, cases that still must be litigated and settled in the courts. Only a few of the election results have been certified, yet they do not care. They just want you out. To make the situation worse, too far, some of your opponents are calling for the creation of blacklists of your family and supporters. In the Bible, the book of Esther, in the 4th chapter, we find Queen Esther facing a similar situation. She and her people were facing annihilation in the hands of their enemy by the name of Haman. He had tricked the mighty King Xerxes to issue an edict which would result in the elimination of the Jewish people in the Medo-Persian Empire. Haman's wrath transcended the wiping out of the Jewish nation. He had a special hatred for Mordecai, the queen's cousin, who had refused to bow down and pay homage to him. He ordered gallows to be built 75 feet high where Mordecai would be hanged in the morning. Your adversaries have planned for this for you. To be clear, it will not be a hanging in the literal sense, but the result of your livelihood will be the same. Jennifer Rubin, a prominent commentator on MSNBC, made these statements last fall as the other guests of the Amjoy show nodded in agreement. Quote, "It's not only that Trump has to lose, but his enablers also have to lose. We must collectively burn down the Republican Party. We must level them, because if there are survivors, if there are people who weather this storm, they will do it again. They will take this confirmation as, hey, it just pays to ride the waves. Look at me. I have made a thrill, and so up and down the ticket, federal, state, and local offices, the country has to repudiate them." Sorry. She is not the only one echoing similar sentiments. Other groups are creating Haman lists on various websites with the names of your supporters. They plan to institute punitive measures against your people if they get in the positions to do so. A word of caution to the elected and non-elected so-called Republicans/conservatives, to those who have already jumped ship or stayed silent. You are mistaken with the notion that you will escape the Haman lists. The book of Esther has the following relevant warning for your kind. Do not think to yourself that in the king's palace you will escape any more than all the other Jews. For if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. Esther 4:13 and 14. The past 4 years have been tough on you, Mr. President. In hindsight, it seems the Lord was preparing you, just like Queen Esther, for such a time as this. Over the last few months, you have traversed the country touting messages of hope to every American. Your supporters waited in long lines and braved inclement weather just to hear you speak. They organized vehicle and boat rallies in support of you and your policies. These tens of thousands of freedom-loving citizens in towns both big and small love you. Your supporters appreciate your efforts to bring back their jobs via your championing of Made in America products. These jobs had been offshored by greedy corporations seeking to maximize profit at the expense of the American worker. They have witnessed tangible change in their neighborhoods due to the Opportunity Zone programs. They enjoy your policies that have led America towards energy independence, decisions that have unshackled the country from harmful international treaties and unnecessary foreign wars. There is so much good you have done. As we stand on the aftermath of the 2020 election, America itself stands on the brink. If we do not fight and win this battle, the individual citizen will never again have a voice in our government. All decisions will be made by the self-appointed experts and hand-picked politicians. We will be ruled via mandates and decrees with no input from the public. The media will drive the narrative and dissenters will be permanently canceled under the guise of creating unity. I hope the promise you made still holds. You promised never to let the American people down. You alone, Mr. President, stand in the unique position to lead this change. I urge you to challenge the I urge you to challenge the irregularities in all the jurisdictions where credible cases of fraud in the elections occurred. This should be more than recounting the ballots, as they are already contaminated. Expose the suspect electronic voting machines, the dead voters, the addition and subtraction of votes from candidates, unearth the disappearance of vote tallies, and stuffing the ballot boxes. Not only should you go after the swing states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Nevada, but you should also pursue Georgia, Virginia, Minnesota, and Arizona. We need to uncover and clean up the political corruption that happened during the election process once and for all. The tech giants and mainstream media have made it clear that they oppose you. I urge you to bypass them and switch to the alternative platforms. Go to where your supporters are. They are on Parler, Gab, Rumble, and BitChute. Do live interviews on the Gateway Pundit, Breitbart, One American News Network, Right Side Broadcasting, Newsmax, Dan Bongino Podcast, Conservative Treehouse, etc. Instead of the mainstream media, go on another virtual rally on the Rush Limbaugh Show. Address your people, all 73 plus million strong, because they are dying to hear directly from you without any filters. Ask them to keep their Trump flags flying high in their homes. Encourage them to keep the car and boat parades going. Finally, I urge you, Mr. President, to follow the footsteps of Queen Esther. Ask your followers to go on a 3-day period of prayer and fasting in preparation for battle to rescue the foundation of the nation. Your close team of confidants should do so as well. We enter this battle together with you, Mr. President, aided by God's help. We know that we face insurmountable odds. We will fight with all of our strength, and in the end, if we perish, we perish. Sincerely, proud supporter. I have goosebumps all over my body. I have goosebumps all over my body. He has to call for prayer and fasting. He has to do it. We've been saying it, and I hope that this letter makes it to him. It probably will, because it was on the Gateway Pundit. Thank you for letting me read that. That was so powerful. So powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So remember, unsupervised election workers mess with voting machines in Georgia after the false claim of the water main break sent people at home, all caught on video. So Sidney Powell filed the report, and General Flynn's attorney Abigail Fry posted the following. The Kraken came down to Georgia on this Thanksgiving Eve in the form of a 104-page bombshell complaint exposing the massive fraud that overwhelmed the 2020 Georgia elections. Georgia, you are most certainly on our minds. Link to the filing to come. Stay tuned. Then, more from Sidney. The Kraken just released on Georgia. Complaint being uploaded. Exhibits to follow. Update. Here's a copy of the filing. And then
they blocked. Did you tell them about that? They blocked on Twitter the link to the court filing.
Yeah. So, the scheme and artifice to defraud was for the purpose of illegally and fraudulently manipulating the vote count to make certain the election for Joe Biden as the United States. The fraud was executed by many means, but the most fundamentally troubling, insidious, and egregious is the systematic adaptation of old-fashioned ballot stuffing. It has now been amplified and rendered virtually invisible by computer software created and run by domestic and foreign actors for that very purpose. Mathematical and statistical anomalies rising to the level of impossibilities, as shown by affidavits of multiple witnesses, documentation, and expert testimony advice this scheme across the state of Georgia. Especially egregious conduct arose in Fort Paulding, Cherokee, Hall, and Barrow County. This scheme and artifice to defraud affected tens of voters, and it says specifically video from the State Farm Arena in Fulton County shows that on November 3rd, after the polls closed, election workers falsely claimed a water leak required the facility to close. All poll workers and challengers were evacuated for several hours at about 10 p.m. However, several election workers remained unsupervised and unchallenged, working at the computers for the vote tabulation machines until after 1 a.m. This is consistent with our prior reporting on the false water main break in Atlanta. But in addition to our reporting, Powell states there is video of unsupervised election workers unchallenged working on the computers. Boom. These actions appear to be criminal as well as sufficient to meet the burden of proof for the standard of fraud.
You know, I almost feel bad for the people that were committing these crimes, because I think that they must be low brain people, okay? And they're being told to do this. They're going to go to jail.
Millie Weaver's working on some whistleblowers.
She's in D.C. right now.
But she said they
forwent Thanksgiving.
Right.
They are in D.C. They are working with these whistleblowers.
I was an international audit executive based in Hong Kong. It is clear fraud occurred in 2020 election, and the current results embedded with the fraud will be overturned. I was an international audit executive. I attended board, audit, and risk committee meetings in the U.S., the UK, Australia, Hong Kong, Japan, China, India, Taiwan, Bermuda, and many more. I led audits of billion-dollar entities. On the other hand, I also performed audits after bank robberies. And I actually was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
So when you audit and you see anomalies, Like, they don't even allow you to take out more than a couple $1,000s. Certainly, the $10,000 is the limit, and you have to, like, sign papers, and, like, there's, like, the feds are alerted if you withdraw or deposit $10,000. So when you're seeing these huge dumps of 1,000,
they actually get alerted.
200,000.
Well, you're talking about withdrawals. They actually get alerted when you deposit more than X amount of dollars.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's when audits happen.
Right.
When you see big anomalies, everybody goes home, middle of the night, huge spikes. Elections never went like that. I've never gone like that.
I've been saying this since November 4th, okay? And I've been equating it to, I said, how many times did I say to you? At least 2 or 3 times. I said, Leah, if this were to happen in a bank, this is how they would prove that the crime had been committed. They would say, look at this massive number here, right? So this guy is claiming, this is what I do for a living. Carry on.
Yeah. Okay, so, let's see. Let's go to the top. The Trump team doesn't have to produce evidence beyond a reasonable doubt concerning unprecedented fraud in this year's campaign. We're talking about fraud that has to come to light, and it's okay to do that, all right? I want you guys to be assured of that, right? Complaints such as those filed by the president and his team only need to show the preponderance of the evidence. This is the absolute lowest burden of proof, sometimes called the 51-49 standard or the balance of probability standards. The 3 burdens of proof or standards, as they can be referred to, are as follows. Beyond a reasonable doubt, the highest standard. Clear and convincing evidence, an elevated standard that requires a judge or jury to have substantial assurance the allegations are correct, or preponderance of evidence, the lowest standard. The Trump team only has to prove the preponderance of evidence to win his cases. All right. According to our records, President Trump entertained 1.1 million supporters at events from Labor Day till the election. Joe Biden entertained less than 2,000. Trump's events this year were even bigger than 2016, and he contracted COVID, which kept him home for a couple of weeks.
Right before the election.
Trump absolutely crushed Biden rallies. It was as if Biden knew he didn't even need to campaign.
Yep.
President Trump had boat parades, car parades, horse parades, truck parades, and more. These random events were not sanctioned by the campaign. They just happened. Biden tried a car parade, and it failed. There was absolutely no enthusiasm behind Biden.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay? President Trump had a litany of accomplishments under his belt as well. He was the first politician in our lifetimes to do what he said. He created the greatest economy, blah, blah, blah. We know all this stuff that he did. Biden is attached to higher taxes, corruption in China, Ukraine, things like that. Fraud is real with a preponderance of evidence. Within the first 24 hours after the election, we knew it was stolen. President Trump sets the record for the most votes ever, and somehow the guy in the basement who's quickly failing in intellectual abilities due to old age somehow broke the all-time record to beat the president's record. Within the first few days, we saw this spike. This is what you see when you see fraud. It would make more sense if it went like this and kept crossing over, but it didn't, right? Within a week, we uncovered the massive fraud. It's uncovered. Like, we saw the numbers, and then the proof is just pouring in like a fire hose or an elephant peeing.
Never one time on this channel, starting from our coverage on November 3rd through today, have you heard us say, wow, it looks like people didn't come out for Trump and he legitimately lost.
10 million more votes. At first, remember we thought it was just 3?
Yeah.
And then now it's 10.
From the moment go, we have been on this channel telling you guys, don't listen to what they're saying. This is all illegal.
Right.
All of it. We have never once wavered.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
Because it was that plain from the very first moment. Keep going.
So he lists all the stuff we list all the time. I don't want to list it all over again. I don't want to bore you guys, but it's really important.
Sometimes it helps to hear it again.
Yeah. So patterns in the data that made no sense. They make no sense because they're not random. We saw mail-in ballot counts in Pennsylvania on President Trump, somehow in nearly every county, 40% less than President Trump's election day winning percentages. Identified Dr. Shiva's analysis, where he identified patterns in precincts in 4 counties in Michigan that showed an apparent shift of 130,000 votes from Trump to Biden. He saw that. They identified a pattern from election results in Michigan, Virginia, Pennsylvania, where Biden took the lead with approximately 90% of all the ballots in 90% of all the ballots are in, and somehow he just randomly rushes to the lead.
Continued to do it in each state.
Yeah.
One by one, we're watching them. We're going, this is literally not possible.
Fraud occurred.
Without the fraud.
That's all you need to know. Fraud occurred. All right. And the extraordinary claim that they have to back up is how Biden got 80 million votes.
So what you were explaining in that article, to be clear here, is that Donald Trump doesn't have to. It's like we're used to that murder. Like you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this person committed this crime. But when it comes to fraud, there's 3 different levels. Mm-hmm. And in order to actually win, we're not looking at beyond a reasonable doubt. You just need the preponderance of the evidence of the fact that it was committed.
This I would hope would get Kanye on the bucket, on the docket here, because how did Democrats kick Kanye West off the ballot in his home state? By demanding a strict signature match. Guess what rate of signatures were rejected by the election officials? Over half. Yet the signatures magically match for the general election.
Wow.
This is absolutely crazy. This is from August. Kanye West won't be appearing on the presidential ballot for his home state after election officials in Illinois found that 1,900 of 3,100 signatures Kanye West submitted were invalid. That leaves the rapper short of the 2,500 needed. While no reason was given, issues could be fake names or addresses. Voters who were not eligible in Illinois,
illegible
signatures
in Illinois,
or something else. The signatures were brought to the attention of the Illinois State Board of Elections after 3 people filed objections citing dodgy signatures. The site reported.
Now we don't know that that's true or not. Okay, we don't know if that was. At this point, we have to question it all. Okay, so I don't know if they were fraudulent signatures or if it was voter fraud and suppression because they didn't want Kanye on the ballot.
Here's the thing.
I don't know.
The people letting the ballot signatures through can keep the ballot signatures off.
Right.
They don't want Kanye, especially in Illinois, where you're going to get a huge turnout of black people for Kanye.
Sure. And they would have been stealing votes from Biden, which is why it was really imperative that they keep him off the ballot.
That's fake.
Alan says Kanye was on my ballot.
Oh, that's funny. All right, so we're at the end. That's the end of our show.
That's the end of the show.
Yeah.
Were you going? I didn't hear you tell them the theory, and I think it's okay to share theories.
It's not exactly the end of our show. I got to do First Kings real quick.
The theory of Eric Coomer's hard drive.
Where is that?
Because that was kind of a very big deal.
It bothers me that when I try to retweet things and then they're not there. I know.
Why don't you just retell the story like you did us in this car? Kansas and I were in the car with Leah and she was telling us this story.
Read it. Okay, so gosh, it bothers me when these stories don't come back up again. Somebody has Eric Coomer's hard drive. And what I read was that Sidney Powell has Eric Coomer's hard drive.
Not just that, but okay, so I can retell your retelling of the story.
I have to believe that my Parler tweets aren't parlaying.
That happens. They're working on their issues. I'm still going to keep using the platform even though it's still quirky. All right. A guy, I don't know who it was because Leah was just reading it. But she was reading a quote saying, "Listen, we have his hard drive, okay?
Yeah,
it has been taken and given to all the proper authorities.
And you can't
It's been taken
Parler.
and given. Leah, calm down. It's been taken and given to representatives, like I think congressmen or senators or whatever, and no, to the Trump team, and it has been copied, and it has been verified." Okay. And this person that was privy to all of this said, I have seen evidences of that hard drive. I think how many hours did it take?
It says just heard Eric Coomer of Dominion Voting Systems had a publicly accessible
FTP server
that contained documents and source code. It was gathered up by patriots. These people are stupid.
Okay. Well, anyway, this person that was quoting this, that was privy to the whole thing happening, said, when I read that 104-page brief, there's evidence of that within the brief.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what's making Leah say Sidney Powell has to have access to that FTP server that was Eric Coomer's. And it lays out, essentially, his writing software and how he did it, and some of his more, I think, don't quote me on this, virulent opinions against Donald Trump that is on there. So
now, let me say FTP.
Ellen says,
I got it.
Ellen says, all right, let's see how, okay, now we're going to play telephone, the real deal and what I gave you. Let's see how right I was. Ellen Jackson says, I sent you a direct tweet about Eric Coomer is missing. No one can find him.
All right. Very interesting. Rasmussen reports.
Yes. Oh, I should have remembered that. Yeah, I missed that part of the remembering of the story.
Okay, so Joseph A. Camp says that, and this is, the team and I found a publicly accessible FTP server that belonged to Eric Coomer. It had his alt-right hit list as well as about 10,000 files at least. We spent 24 hours at least saving everything.
There it was. Yep.
That stuff included emails, prior software source code. Yes, our findings are in all the correct hands. I was escorted into an undisclosed location where the material was shared with representatives from the Trump campaign. The material was validated and authenticated and replicated. It is used in several of the lawsuits I am seeing.
Okay. I think I got it pretty right with my memory there. Barry says, Michelle and Leah, I have a bone to pick with you girls. You did a video making lemon meringue pie for Thanksgiving and didn't give me any. It's one of my favorite sweets. I'm sorry we could not ship our lemon meringue pie. We couldn't ship it to the town next to us, much less across the pond. It would not have survived. Although I bet you could probably pay one of those like services, like someone to special handle, like to get on the plane, carry the pie, take it directly to Barry's house. I don't know how much that would cost. Probably maybe $3,000 or $4,000. We could work something out.
So we'll see. We'll see where that one goes.
I'm not sure that they would let you take a pie on the plane.
I don't think they let anything go on the plane.
Now we have to hire a private plane that is transcontinental. I think we just went to like 10 or 15.
All right, so I woke up this morning. I'm going to end with this. Patriot Gallery was like, you got to watch this video. I don't know, Michelle, I
don't know how to say his last name. You guys can pronounce it for me. Steve.
Would you put the link in the
I'm just gonna grab it. I cannot remember. I do not know how to say his last name.
I haven't watched it. But
really
she's like, this guy does this thing on 1 Kings 1 and 2. And I'm like, well, there's my Bible reading for the day. When King David was very old, he could not keep warm. And they brought in a Shulamite. He didn't have sex with her. I just want you to know. That's part of the story in a minute. And she took care of him. Now, Adonijah, whose mother was Haggith, put himself forward and said, I'm going to be king, baby. He got chariots. He got horses ready. He got 50 men to run ahead of him. His father had never rebuked him by asking, why do you behave as you do? He was also very handsome. And he was born after Absalom. How do you say it?
Adonijah.
Just
think Adonijah.
Got it. Conferred with Joab, who had actually already betrayed David once, son of Zeruiah, with the Abiathar the priest, but Zodok the priest and Benaniah, son of Jehoiada, and Nathan the prophet, and Shimei and Rei and David's special guard did not join with Adonijah. So then Adonijah sacrifices sheep and cattle and fattened calves, invites all his brothers and all the king's sons, and all the royal officials of Judah, brings in the deep state, the DOJ, and all this stuff, but he does not invite Nathan or the prophet or his brother Samuel. Then Nathan goes to Bathsheba, Solomon's mom, and says, do you know that Adonijah is making himself king when Solomon was supposed to be king? So I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. You go in and you say, don't you remember you swore to me that Solomon was going to be king, right? The son born after her baby that died. And so Bathsheba goes in and she convinces him. She's like, don't you remember? He's like, yeah, I totally remember. Solomon's going to be king, right? So Nathan comes in. Don't you, Adonijah, have you declared that Adonijah will be king after you and that he'll sit on the throne? Because he's doing all this stuff, making himself king. All right, he's invited everybody, the king's sons, the commanders of the army, the priests. Long live Adonijah. But me, your servant, and Zadok the priest, we serve, and Solomon, we weren't invited. Is this something my lord the king has done without letting his servants know who should sit on the throne of my lord the king after him? And he says, call in Bathsheba. And so she came into the king's presence, and he says, as surely as the Lord lives, who has delivered me out of every trouble, I will surely carry out this very day what I swore to you by the Lord, the God of Israel. Solomon your son shall be king after me, and he will sit on my throne and in my place. Then Bathsheba bowed down, said, my Lord, King David live forever. And then he calls Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet and Benaniah, and he gets them together and he says, take your Lord's servants with you and have Solomon my son mount on my mule and take him down into Gihon. There have Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anoint him king over Israel. Blow the trumpet and shout, long live Solomon. Then you're to go up with him, and he is to come and sit on my throne and reign in my place. I have appointed him ruler over Israel and Judah. Then Benaniah son of Jehoiada said, amen. May the Lord, the God of my Lord, the king, so declare it. And as the Lord was with my Lord the king, so may he be with Solomon. So he gets everybody together. They play the pipes. Everybody shouts, and people are excited. They like this idea that Solomon's going to be king. And then when Adonijah heard it, everybody and the people with Adonijah were like, oh, shoot. And they fled. And Adonijah went and threw himself on the horns of the temple, because that's a way of like, please save my life. And so David's like, I'll tell you what, if you don't do anything to come against me or anything like that, then your life is yours. But if you do, so he comes in and he tries to take a piece of what was David's as his own. It was this Shulamite woman, and Solomon's like, no. And he's like, he starts to round everybody up. Okay. And he rounds up, Adonijah, dead. And then, Joab, now you yourself know what Joab, the son of Zeruiah, did to me. And David is telling him, hey, you need to understand that Joab killed innocent people in peacetime, as if it was battle. You need to deal with him according to your own wisdom.
And don't let a gray hair on his head go down in their grave in peace.
Right, exactly. And then also, he actually gave this other guy, Shimei, the son of Guriah, the Benjamite, he called down bitter curses on me the day I went to Mahanaim. When he came down to meet me at the Jordan, I swore to him by the Lord, I will not put you to death by a sword. But now, do not consider him innocent. You are a man of wisdom. You will know what to do, and bring his gray head down to the grave in blood. Then David rested with his ancestors. So Adonijah, he betrays Solomon, and Solomon was like, nope. So the king Solomon gave the orders to Benaniah, the son of Jehoiada, and struck down Adonijah. And the whole point is this, is that, as you're still with me, Biden set himself up as king. There's a lot of people around that have betrayed Donald Trump. Okay? So when he is set up as king again, and we call it president, whatever you want to call it, when he's president again, one by one, these people will fall on their faces and be like, "Oh, I'll do what's right." Blah blah blah. No,
that's where your song from earlier today comes back. Too late to apologize.
Okay, right. And supposedly the opera song sung at the RNC was at the end of the Sum of All Fears, and where everybody is getting rounded up and they're all going to jail. Okay, we're literally living in a movie. Okay, it's an epic movie. It's called 2020.
It's so great.
Okay, and how do you want your movie to end? With the good guys being put in where they are, and the deep state and all the people who betrayed this country, betrayed our president, get rounded up, and they go to jail. So I know the Q people, and know they were like, indictments are coming and blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm going to tell you what. I serve a God of justice. And we all got to be just in ourselves to demand justice of other people. And that's where the prayer and the fasting comes in. Okay? Because you can't have areas in your life, and I'm looking in my mirror, and she's looking in her mirror, and God
right now
is working on us in big time. Okay?
I'm perfect. Leah needs to fix herself. And you people too. And you all can try to be like me. But no, it is really, really important for us to be sinless. And I've been working on that actually.
Here's the thing. It's
in
not
my everyday life. Like I want to make sure that my whole life is right now, because I need my prayers to be answered. When I'm praying for Sidney Powell, and I'm praying for the Trump team, and I'm praying that all this fraud gets exposed, and I'm praying for you guys, these prayers have to be answered.
In prayer and fasting, like, you can fast all you want. Like, Gandhi fasted food. We're talking about fasting your flesh.
That's good.
Okay?
It's so good. Which is why, once again, God set up 2020, because what have we all been doing? Mm-hmm. There's no movies to go to. We're not going out to restaurants all the time. Like, we have not sat down in a restaurant since February. Okay? Now, this is not something that we would normally... Well, you just turned us into ghosts. This is not something that we would normally do on a regular basis, but often enough that it's a huge deal. It's a really big deal. You guys can probably say the same things. I'm fasting going to the movies, which I really like doing. We don't do a whole lot, like maybe 6 or 7 times a year, but it's often enough that I enjoy it. Not going, not doing, you know, that sort of thing.
So I'm going to leave you with you guys something to watch tonight with your family. A prayer group of mine sent this to me, and I was like, what am I listening to? I'm listening to an ex-Amish guy.
And we're at 3 hours and 2 minutes, just so you know.
I'm just telling them to go watch it, and
okay.
we're finishing our show. I don't know if you can... Let me share this.
It's on Facebook.
I'm just going to share this now. If
you why can't you share it to our Resistance Chicks Facebook?
It didn't say I could share it to... Maybe
more options.
To my page.
No, go back. Go to more options. Back. More options.
Oh, there, I can share it to my page.
Share it to a page.
Okay, guys, this is you going to Resistance Chicks. Okay, watch this now. Okay?
Now, speaking separate for what y'all need to watch and doing your homework and stuff, when we ran into our cousin's pastor today, one of the first things that he and his wife said to us is, you have to watch this movie. It's called Monumental. And we're like, I know, we've been to the monument twice and yada, yada, yada. And they're like, yeah, so you need to watch the movie. And we're like, no, we watched the movie. And then we went to the monument twice because of it. So people are highly recommending. I literally had these. These are, I should sell these. Like, I should mark them up. And because I did it on Amazon, and
the calling of the believer, the lion side of God from Living Hope Fellowship. Go to our Resistance Chicks page. Watch this. Ex-Amish guy sets up a mission in Iraq. He is one of the reasons why we're not fighting in Syria. He said the problem is that Christians aren't on the front lines, and he went to the front lines, and he said this. He goes, there's too many people who are willing to be a martyr and just die. Die to yourself.
And live for Christ.
And basically live for Christ. If you want to die to yourself. Right. Die to your needs.
Yeah.
Obey God. And he said he would go from mountain to mountain and he would claim these places for Jesus. He had so many miracles in checkpoints he went through. And he went to like the front lines of the battle in Syria. And he prayed, and 8 hours later, U.S. troops went in and stomped ISIS there. He emboldened me to do what we're doing, to take to the front lines. And the way he was saying it was that we have to take it to the front lines right now.
Right.
Right now. And Christians need to be on the front lines. And we see, even General Flynn's team, the girl, McCain, who stepped down, she signed it with the scripture like Philippians. Okay, these people on the front lines are Christians right now, and that's how we know that we're gonna win. And we need ministers to rise up to start preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ to people, and be a lion for Jesus. And I'm so excited that you're here with us. I'm so excited that you are lions for Jesus. Father God, I just thank you for the President's dream team. I pray that you give them dreams and visions.
Amen.
Show them where all the evidence is. Bring the witnesses forward, that they would be credible, and that every single person who has a story, their story will be told, and they'll write books and books and books about it, and every single state will have like an encyclopedia of witnesses. And I just bind and gag Satan. I bind and gag this Biden team. They're lying, filthy, snake-filled, rat-filled DOJ, FBI, CIA. This is America. We're founded on the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I pray, Father God, that the dominoes will fall. First, it will be the states rising up, and they'll be quoting scripture. And I just pray for the hearing in Arizona, that it will be anointed, that the devil be locked out, that the hearing in Michigan will be off the hook.
Yes.
And that the whole world will be watching right now. And Joe Biden and his whole team will concede.
Yes.
They will say there is way too much proof here. Undeniable. We don't want to go to jail. Can we make a deal?
Yes.
Okay. I pray, Father God, these people get caught. I pray for whistleblowers who get immunity for telling the truth. Because that's how we do things in America. I pray, Father God, that the Dominion system is exposed for what it is, and that it is easily understandable, and we have solid proof. I pray that the courts will view these lawsuits favorably from here on out. I pray that any courts that make it to the Supreme, every docket that needs to go to the Supreme Court, Father God, will be fast-tracked there by the anointing and angels and the power of God. I pray, Father God, that Eric Coomer will be exposed, and if his things are the box, the golden box of truth, then let that be it. If there's another one, Father God, I just pray that dominoes will continue to fall, religious liberty will rise, and Christianity will rise all over the entire world. We pray that you show us inside and out how we can change our own lives, Father God. We bind and gag Satan from this country. We say you got to go down to the pit of hell, and I pray that this would be the country where people feel peace and joy and Christmas all year round.
Yes.
I pray that you give Trump wisdom and strength and excitement, and show him exactly what to do. Give him special wisdom. Give the whole team special wisdom. Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, the whole Powell team, the Lynn Wood team, and all the other small citizens out there who are citizen warriors. I pray that you give them backbone and grit right now in the name of Jesus, and we speak it forth in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, guys, I have to tell you that I have not been so excited to do Resistance Chicks shows since we started them than what we've been doing the past almost 4 weeks, okay? Every time we come to bring you guys stuff, I'm so full of excitement and the power of God, seeing what God is doing. I now realize, and I realized this several weeks ago, it had to happen this way because this is going to change our country forever. I would not change this for the world. I would not, hear me on this. I would not have wanted Donald Trump to win on election night because the fraud had to come out. We had to flush this out of our system or else it was going to continue to fester.
Cancer.
Now was the time. We've been trying to take it out for decades, but now is the perfect time. It's finally ready. And I'm so excited. Please follow us on Resistance Chicks on YouTube and on Masfaith3 on YouTube.
Rumble.
We're on Rumble. We're on BitChute. We are on Parlor. You guys can find us everywhere. Our website will get you to our podcast, resistancechicks.com. We did a Thanksgiving episode last night, which was really, really powerful and fun. And you get kind of a walk and tour around our house when we're cooking food at the end.
My mom did a good Thanksgiving episode too.
And Patriot Gallery did her 2 episodes, part 1 and part 2. So there's so much that you can watch. Don't ever get bored. You do not need to go to Fox News. You got us. And we're so glad. Darren, thank you for the mic. I think it worked out well. I'm looking forward to tweaking it and working with it and seeing what all it does. I think it does a lot of stuff that I think we could be louder.
Chicks on Rumble.
I think we can be louder so that you guys don't have to listen to us at max volume.
Everywhere but YouTube we're Resistance. Everywhere but this channel that you're watching right now is Resistance Chicks.
Right. Well, I'm on Parlor under Masfaith3.
Right.
And I need people to be following me.
Go follow Michelle, Masfaith3, Michelle Svensson.
Leave me comments and echo me.
If you guys send us a message and we will follow you back.
Yeah, exactly. If you follow us on Parlor, let us know that you come from Resistance Chicks and I will follow you back. All right, we're going to sign off. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory. if it's the truth.
If Trump won the election.
And that's a fact, and we all know it, and God's going to prove it, and it's
deep
awesome.
in the bones, baby.
I feel it deep inside. Watch this tonight. It's on our Facebook page on Resistance Chicks. We'll be back on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly roundup of world news. There's a lot going on.
There'll be something great. I don't know what it is, but it'll be great, and we'll probably bring you a short show on it. Because every day is something awesomer.
Every day is a great day. And you know what? Since we're not really working very much right now, God has afforded us the time to do 3-hour episodes on top of all the research that we're doing for you guys. So anyway. For the country. For God and country. Okay, they were telling me that my accent is a Hollywood accent. It's not really a UK accent, and that's fine.
That's fine.
I understand that, old chap. Righto. It's not really British. I get it. No, but I got some good British ones. I'll bring them on Sunday. I'm all right. Okay. We love you guys. God loves you. God bless. Bye.
It's too late to apologize.
I was cold all alone. No place for home every day. So afraid. But you called my name.